What's up everyone, how are you all? Today we are back with another blazing Naruto story. What if Council tries to get Naruto back? If you enjoy then please like, share and do comments. 7:30 a.m. outside Konoha gates. Naruto limped towards the village gates, carrying an unconscious Sasuke on his back. Naruto's vision began to blur as he reached the gates, and he swayed back and forth as blood flowed down Hi's chest and right arm from the gaping hole through his torso. Sasuke slipped from his back as the medic nins rushed forward to tend to Sasuke's wounds. They quickly carried Sasuke towards the hospital, using healing jutsu to close his lesser wounds. Naruto staggered in the direction of his apartment, light-headed from blood loss. They just forgot me. Sasuke is more important, Naruto thought to himself, attempting to be optimistic, as he neared the apartment. Naruto twisted the handle of his door, not noticing that it was unlocked, and shuffled forward as he closed the door behind himself. As soon as the door was shut, Naruto collapsed in a heap on his floor, unconscious. Konoha Gate, before Naruto's return. He's not here yet, Hinata thought to herself when she arrived at the gate. Maybe he's at home, she thought, running off. After she arrived, Hinata used her Byakugan to look in Naruto's apartment. Not finding Naruto there either, Hinata decided to continue looking. As she was about to leave, Hinata saw medic nins running by with Sasuke. They're back. He's got to be in the hospital then. Excuse me miss, is you Uzumaki and Naruto in the hospital? Hinata asked the receptionist at the desk. No, the receptionist replied without even looking up. Ichiriku's then. Excuse me, Tei Yuki-san. Ha avenue you say en Naruto-kun? Today? Asked the stuttering ninja. No, I have it today. Why, is he back? Tucci asked, in response to Hinata. I don't, but I saw Ami dic nins kar ri in G Sasuke to Tihi hos by tall. Oh, I guess that means if you see him let him know that the first bowl of ramen is on the tell him that we have a new flavor, cheese curry flavor. Tucci told Hinata. Hinata was frantic now. She had checked the gates, the hospital, and Ikariku and still no sign of him. She was now running to the Akamedi to ask if Iruka has seen Naruto. When she arrived, it was lunchtime, so Iruka wasn't teaching at the moment, however he was grading papers. Iruka-sensei have you seen Naruto-kun today? Quote, no I haven't. Have you checked Ikariku? I've CKED everywhere, EV and the gates. I'm sure he's fine, wherever he is. Why do you wish to find him? Re-CENTLY HUENT on AMISSION and EV ARI O NATH at we NTWITH him has RETURN ed. EV and Sasuke who HEWNT do you retrieve? Quote, ah, I see. Don't worry, he'll show up soon. If I do see him though, I'll let you know. Alright? Thanks, I guess. Hinata said, trying to hide her emotions for Naruto. Iruka said nothing more and continued degrading his papers in silence. Hinata thanked Iruka one more time before leaving the Akamedi. Hinata searched throughout Konoha trying to see if she could find Naruto. The setting sun didn't even make her realize that a lot of time had passed by. A Hyuga branch member walked toward her. Hinata, not even acknowledging the branch member, kept walking searching for Naruto. Naruto, where are you? Please show up soon. Hinata-sama? Hinata-sama? Hinata-sama, yelled the branch member, finally getting Hinata's attention. Oh, huh? Are you alright, Hinata-sama? Oh, yes. I was Jew Street. DEEP and though UGHT. Well, if you're alright then, it's time to come home, now. Dinner is ready and if Hiyashi-sama doesn't see you there when he starts to dine, we'll both be in hot water. So, with your leave, we'll get going, however I do suggest we hurry up. T's GET go in G, said Hinata. Naruto groaned as he realized where he was. I'll get dressed and go to Ikariku, go see the others, then see Ba-chan. Uzumaki, Naruto, your presence is demanded by the council, immediately. An Anbu wearing a bird mask. Sigh, fine, I'm coming. The Anbu waited as Naruto finished getting dressed. Naruto, then, walked to the council chambers while being escorted by the Anbu. His dread began to grow as Naruto stood before the council, Tsunade conspicuously missing. Uzumaki, Naruto. For the attempt of murdering a Konoha shinobi, and the threat of realzing the Kyuubi, You are her stripped from your rank and banished from Konoha. You have exactly 1 hour to get your stuff and leave. If you are seen here after the hour is up, you will be killed on sight. You can't do this. Tsunade isn't here to approve. She doesn't have to be. I already have the papers with her signature and seal for your banishment," said Koharu as he showed Naruto the papers. Naruto collapsed in on himself. Koharu laughed. "You didn't expect that, did you, boy? You have 1 hour to leave. Council dismissed. Where am I going to go?" was Naruto's first thoughts as he walked toward his apartment. "Kit, when you leave head toward Suna, but don't be seen." Kyuubi answered his container's thoughts. "Q? I thought you were asleep. I woke up as the council banished you." Single quote. "Why should I go to Suna? There is something there I want you to get. For example, I'm going to teach you, Kit, but before that I'm going to lead you to the 8 other Kitsune Sennin, and have them teach you as well. This was in a small part, I guess, my fault, so I'm going to make up for it. Why couldn't you teach me this stuff earlier? Why didn't you help me when I needed it? Enough. I have helped you plenty of times. When that Haku kid was going to kill you, who stepped in and saved your life? Or against that Hyuga Neji to help you win the Chunin match? Against the incomplete Shukaku? Or did you already forget the battle against the Uchiha? Don't tell me that I don't help you. Sorry. Don't worry about the other reason is that you are similar to a Kitsune, which in that case you need to be trained. Every Kitsune gets trained by the Sennin." Kyuubi's voice softened a little near the end. Naruto reached the gates with his meager belongings, not even noticing the evil glares that the guards were giving him. "Alright, then. Why do we have to proceed undetected, though? If you're discovered by that friend of yours, Gaara I believe his name is, he might broadcast your location and the Sennin there likes to live in a seclusive area. That would make sense. Having a bunch of random people at the entrance of the Sennin's home would be a bad thing." Yes, it would. At Akatsuki headquarters, somewhere in Wind Country. Pain, now is the time to get the Kyuubi. His container has been banished from Konoha, which leaves for him to be open to attack. We must act quickly before the stupid village recognizes their mistake. Find him, Pain, bring him back while he's vulnerable. Yes, I agree. Pain answered Madara. I have to go, now before they catch Naruto. Itachi thought to himself. I can't let Madara or Pain get Naruto. I must try and hide him. Itachi dashed quietly out of the hideout. Zetsu, come here. No, better yet to not waste any time. There is the 9-tailed container that has been banished. You know what to do. Pain yelled. By this time, however, Itachi was already on his way toward the leaf. Somewhere between Suna and the Akatsuki hideout. The hideout was nothing more than a dot, when Zetsu's voice come from the ground. Where are you going, Itachi? Yes, where? Pain hasn't sent you on a mission, so where do you think you're going? You're right, he hasn't. I'm leaving the Akatsuki, Itachi replied, tossing his ring to Zetsu. You know the penalty for treason. I can't let you go alive. If Pain found out he'd kill me too. I guess that just leaves you, traitor. Zetsu lunged toward Itachi, kunai in hand. Itachi dodged to the left, tripping the 6-foot plant guy to the ground. You were always the weakest, no combat capabilities whatsoever. Itachi closed his eyes, then opened them slowly revealing his Monkyu Sharingan. It's time for your death, Amaterasu. Jet black flames quickly enveloped Zetsu's grass-like body, burning him to a crisp in a few seconds. Now, time for me to catch Naruto, before either Pain or Madara find out what I've done. Why do they favor Sasuke so much? Naruto thought as his anger rose from the banishment. Cuz, Kit, they are ignorant. If the stupid village wants to banish their greatest asset, let them. Now, continue on your journey, but be wary. I sense some chakra that is following us. I can't tell exactly what it is, but be on your guard. Naruto agreed with the Kyuubi and continued on his way toward Suna. Itachi shushined toward the leaf in hopes of catching Naruto. Hidan and Kakazu were following him, since Zetsu burning had let out a foul smell. Damn it, they're catching up. Hidan would be the main problem, since the damn guy is immortal. But Kakazu has 5 hearts. Damn, I can't fight them both. One of them would be annoying enough for me to waste chakra needed to catch Naruto. I promised the third, that I wouldn't let them capturing him, then again he and I didn't expect the village to banish him. Itachi thought as he tried to outrun the 2 following members. He threw some kunai at Kakazu hoping it would be enough to distract him, nope, wrong. Itachi stopped and turned around, preparing to face off with the duo. "Are you ready to be killed and sacrificed for my kami?" Hidan said while pulling out his scythe. "Captain, the demon brat has stopped. He may be exhausted and has stopped to rest. Now is the time to kill him," said the rude Anbu. "Surround him," said the captain. At Naruto's position, Naruto slowed to a stop and turned to face the Anbu as he created 3 Kage Bushin. "Be careful, kid, these are 4 of that Danzo's rude Anbu." "I know, Kyuubi. It's over, brat," said one of the Anbu as they arrived in the clearing. The 2 Anbu on each end of the line drew their katanas as the 2 in the middle started a jutsu. One doing a fire jutsu and the other a wind jutsu to amplify the fire jutsu. The Narutos scattered as the combination fire, wind jutsu. 2 of the Narutos block the katana strikes with a kunai and 2 more jump out of the ground and impale themselves on the katanas, and 2 cubified clones appear on each side of the katana wielding Anbu and one behind them holding out a hand as though preparing a barrier jutsu as the real Naruto charges forward as the 2 clones on the katanas explode, dispersing their chakra into the air. As the chakra dispersed into the air, the cubified clones began spinning the chakra in the air, beginning to create a large Rasengan in the air, and Naruto continued charging forward with a small Rasengan in hand, and as it hits the chakra in the air it absorbs the dispersed chakra, amplifying the Rasengan in hand, causing it to expand and catching the Anbu in it as it grew, ripping them apart, sending pieces of their bodies flying around the clearing. "HMPH, pathetic Anbu underestimating me. They should know that deception is a ninja's greatest asset and that I wouldn't be that easy to kill," said Naruto as the Kyuubi's chakra began to recede and he turned to begin towards Suna again. Kakuzu removes his shirt as the masks on his back begin to move of their own volition and start to attack Itachi as Hidan prepares his ritual. Itachi blurred as he shushens to the side, dodging the attacks of Kakuzu's masks and sending a Gukakyu at Kakuzu, who has his fire element mask absorb the attack and sends it back and combines it with a wind jutsu, and Itachi substitutes himself with a nearby log. Hidan, having completed his ritual, dashes towards Itachi, slashing downward with his scythe. Itachi blocks with a kunai and jumps backward and fires another Gukakyu at Hidan, who runs through it and quickly heals and continues to slash repeatedly at Itachi. "Hee, you can't weasel your way out of this one, can you, Itachi?" Hidan says as he laughs at his pun. As Itachi continues to jump backward away from Hidan's relentless attacks, Kakuzu unleashes a lightning jutsu at Itachi, who, caught unawares, jumped into it. As the jutsu hits Itachi, it goes through him and pierces through Hidan. "Damn it, Kakuzu, what the fuck was that for?" It appears that Itachi fooled us with a genjutsu as he escaped. Kakuzu said to the seething Hidan. "Damn, Pain's gonna be pissed." Konoha Council Room. "You did what?" Tsunade yelled at the members of the council. "We removed a major threat to the village, Tsunade. Now calm down, it should have been done years ago, but the third was too enraptured by that demon's wile," said Komura. "You used the Hokage's personal seal without my permission and banished one of my ninja. You have control over domestic matters, but the shinobi are mine. This is treason against Hai no Kuni, the penalty for which is death," said Tsunade. "I agree completely, Hokage-sama. If I had known of this treason I would have stopped it myself," said Danzo. "This is an outrage," Hiashi cried. "How could you do this to that poor boy?" said Sume. "How could you banish him? He may not have been a model shinobi, but he was always very trustworthy," said Shikaku, speaking for the Ino Shika Cho trio. "Your logic, despite having a strong base, is not strong enough to have the boy banished. He has never shown any violent tendencies towards the villagers or shinobi despite the way he has been treated, and therefore he was not a threat to the village, though your actions may incite him to hate Konoha," Shibi said in his usual emotionless voice. Tsunade looks around the council. All in favor of executing the members of council responsible for the treasonous acts of using the Hokage's personal seal and forging the Hokage's signature say aye. Tsunade said. There was a chorus of ayes from the remaining council members. "Anbu, take the traitors to the cells of the interrogation and torture squad, and be sure to tell Ibiki that he has some new subjects," Tsunade ordered as several Anbu appear at her call. Tsunade sits down at her desk reaching for one of her hidden bottles of sake when the rookie 9 and teen guy, minus Sasuke and Sakura, bust through her doors yelling in a cacophony of shouts and screams. "Shut up. Tsunade yelled above the shouts, causing everyone to instantly fall silent. Now, what is it you need? Tsunade asked at a more normal tone. Is it true that Uzumaki-san has been banished? Shino asked, calm and emotionless as ever, speaking for the entire Rookie 9 and Team Guy as his voice rang through the silent room. Tsunade's expression changed to a sorrowful look. Unfortunately, yes, he has been banished. Kita powerful, for a human, chakra signature is approaching quickly. It may be an enemy. Naruto quickly created 9 cage bushin and had them all hide in the surrounding foliage. Just a little further, I can sense Naruto's chakra signature up ahead. Itachi thought as he jumped from tree to tree. Itachi landed in a clearing, quickly seeing Naruto standing in the center of the clearing. Naruto had his clones jump from their hiding places and throw 8 shuriken each, and the clones quickly run through the seals for the Shadow Shuriken Jutsu as Naruto did the same. Shadow Shuriken no Jutsu. 10 voices call out in unison. The shuriken quickly multiplied by 10, rapidly becoming 800 shuriken flying from all sides towards Itachi. Earth Shield no Jutsu. Itachi called out, creating a sphere of earth to block the shuriken. The shield crumbled and Itachi shushined in front on Naruto and elbowed him into a tree and rushes forward and holds a kunai to his neck. Finally come to collect me, Itachi? Naruto asked with a bitter, venomous tone. His eyes would flicker between his normal blue and a crimson red, as Kyuubi realized some chakra into his container. He felt the kunai pressed against his throat as Itachi just stared, keeping the emotionless gaze upon the young ninja. Collect you for the Akatsuki? Oh no, but I'm here to help you. His voice sounded tired, as if sleep had eluded him. His eyes streaked blood down his cheek as he deactivated his Mangekyo Sharingan into his normal eyes, even deactivated his normal Sharingan. Help me, what a laugh. Now what's the real reason, Uchiha scum? The Sandame sent me to help you. The Sandame is dead, has been for months. I will tell you a secret only 3 people, including myself, know. The night of the Uchiha massacre I did not kill them just to test myself. I was ordered by the Sandame to kill all involved in the plot to overthrow him and replace him with my father as dictator. Why should I believe you? You killed your whole clan in one night. Not to mention you betrayed the village and joined the most dangerous criminal organization. Just because you say the Sandame asked to do something still has its flaws in your petty excuse to capture me. The least you could do is just say you are here to do so, and get on with it. I suppose, perhaps you were of age. Hopefully he told you. What the hell are you talking about? Did the Sandame tell you of all the blackmail porn that he had on all of the Jonin and the other previous Hokages? Naruto widened his eyes in not just shock but amusement. That was the biggest secret only shared between him and the third. For Itachi to know, the third would have to trust him, just so that fact alone would make Naruto less weary of him. Yes, he did. That was just our secret. No one else knew. Naruto said, still in slight shock. He told me, so in case you questioned my motives. I am telling you, Naruto, look into my eyes, my regular eyes, and see that I'm not lying. Itachi said calmly, releasing the kunai from Naruto's throat. What is going on then? After I killed the Uchiha clan, I was sent to infiltrate the Akatsuki to act as a spy for the Sandame. Jiraiya only knows that I can be trusted, not what I'm doing or what my mission is. And what is your mission? Naruto questioned. I had 3 missions. The first was to eliminate anyone involved in the coup the Uchiha were planning. The second was to infiltrate to Akatsuki and relay information on their plan to the Sandame. The third was, in case you were ever endangered or banished, I was to abandon the Akatsuki and immediately get to you as quickly as possible and protect you. Well, Kyuubi, what do you think I should do? He could be a great asset for helping me, but he can also be a great enemy. What are your thoughts about this? Take his help for now, Kit, but be wary of him and be prepared should he betray us. I will trust you for now, but if I even think you are going to betray me, I will escape before you can even blink. I find it amusing that you think you could escape if I were to turn on you, but like I said, I am here to protect you and will not betray you. If you wish to come along you may, but don't get in my way. I will be going my way, not yours. I do not care if you have some weird-ass fangirl that is willing to get you and myself laid, in some faraway village. If it's not on my agenda, I'm not going. Capiche? Letting out some laughter, which would be the first in years, Itachi scared Naruto. The usual bad-ass no-emotion guy was gone and now some lunatic with a laughing problem was in his pace, or this was in Naruto's eyes. Yes, of course, Naruto-san. Be that as I may have fangirls, never, ever would I try to acquire one to get laid. And being under the Sandame orders still as I did promise, I will be going wherever you are heading toward. Quote, should he know about the Sennin Almighty Superfluff? Should you ever call me as such again, brat, ill will castrate what little thing you have that makes you a man, then heal you, and do it again, following the same format. And to answer your question, since he is accompanying us, I suppose so, but only tell him the most important and on a need-to-know basis. Then we head to Suna. Naruto said, not giving any more information at the moment. With a quick nod of his head, Itachi agreed. Hinata sat in her room. It had been 4 days since officially learning of Naruto's banishment. Hiyashi wondered what had his daughter so down. He had seen her bawling her eyes out, running straight into her room and locking the door. He vowed to make whoever this to his daughter suffered so badly that in fact Kyuubi itself would be proud of the pain he would inflict on said person. Knocking on Hinata's door, he asked in a quiet voice, Hinata, what's wrong? He had been nice to her ever since the Chunin exams, after the brutal beating his nephew Neji had placed upon her. Oto-sama, they banished Naruto-san. Hinata cried. I know, I tried to prevent it from happening, but too many of the council members wanted it and somehow acquired Tsunade's seal when she was on official business outside of the village. He could hear Hinata sobbing harder now, something that greatly pissed him off. He vowed secretly to punish the council members that have caused his precious daughter this type of grief. Shikamaru sighed. Not like he greatly appreciated Naruto, but he did enjoy the humor that the kid brought. Now since Naruto was gone, the entire Rookie 9, save for the bitch and the emo brat, were in depression. Neji had been complaining that Ten couldn't shut up that Naruto had been banished. Which in Shikamaru's mind had came to the conclusion that the two were secretly dating, not like he cared. Choji had been training non-stop, instead of eating, which was a shock even to the brilliant lazy mind. He figured that since Choji had a love for eating that it would have been the opposite for him, and to settle the depression training would be the best thing for him. Now Ino had become less of a bitch really, and was actually one of the more supporter of Choji training. Kiba, being pissed at the fact that he would never get his rematch from the preliminaries, trained constantly in hopes of battling Neji, who had almost beaten Naruto. Shino went about life as if it was normal, not showing really any signs of depression, though it in itself could be a sign of it. Lee was the one who tried cheering everyone up. The flames of youth shall not be diminished due to this. In fact, we should greatly remember him by training to strive to be even stronger than we were before, in Naruto's memory. Gaara looked outside upon his balcony. I see, was his voice, learning of the news of Naruto's banishment. The sand ninja nodded, and backed away for fear of being crushed. Naruto was the one and only reason why Gaara had been allies with the Leaf. With Naruto's banishment, taken the news like normal news, but all who knew anything about him would know that such news could result if remaining to be in the Cage's presence could be and most likely fatal. You may go, Gaara said. The sand ninja shushined out of the presence of his leader. Gaara continued staring out off the balcony. Tamari, head to the Leaf, and cancel all diplomatic agreements. Also tell them that no negotiations to reinitiate diplomatic agreements will be allowed. This also means, Tamari, that you must come directly back, and not spend any extra time there with your escort. Quote, in a Ambu prison cell, awaited the council members that banished Naruto. Tsunade entered the cell with 2 Ambu to inform them of their fate. According to the laws of Konoha, you have committed treason, the punishment for which is death. You will now be executed, in accordance with the law. Tsunade said, you can't do this, Tsunade. Kaharu protested. I'm the Hokage and Konoha is not a democracy. Unless the daimyo interfere, I can do whatever I want. Tsunade smirked. Well, you certainly earned the title of Hokage Tsunade. One daring council member said. Tsunade's only reaction was a super-powered punch to his head that caused it to explode in a shower of blood, pulverized bone, and brain matter. Anyone else want to be a smart-ass? Tsunade questioned in a sickly sweet voice. No one dared to say anything after Tsunade's show of anger. Very well then, Ambu, execute these traitors. Tsunade said. With that the Ambu blurred as they moved far faster than the human eye could follow and decapitated the former council members. Kakuzu knelt down studying the ground. After a few moments, he got up and said in a quiet, angered manner, "This way, Hidan." Itachi went this way. "And for a bonus, so is the nine-tailed container." "How do you know it's the nine tails?" said the immortal man with the giant scythe. "Well, I was good at tracking from my time in the tracking company of my original village, and I can sense chakra even better from the chakras I've absorbed along with the extra hearts. He is leaking a small amount of Yukai that is distinctive to the Kyuubi," Kakuzu said, sounding annoyed at having to explain this to Hidan. Drawing his scythe, Hidan grinned maliciously. "Let's go kill some people." Jashin demands sacrifices. Naruto and Itachi were resting at the Tezuka Asanan Inn, having stopped to rest briefly before they got out of Hai no Kuni. They had gone largely unnoticed as Itachi had abandoned the bulky Akatsuki cloak for less noticeable civilian clothes as had Naruto. Itachi had made some miso and dango soup. Cooking over a fire that he made by using a fire breath jutsu, the soups had been nice and hot as they ate it. "So Naruto-san, why are we heading toward Suna for?" Itachi asked, sipping his hot miso and dango soup. "There is someone there I'd like to meet in my travels, seeing as such I do not have any obligations to anyone now," Naruto said, still slightly cautious of the nuke nen. He sipped the soup, slowly, knowing that back when he was in the leaf, of how many tried to poison his ramen, that he was immune to most. "Mind if I ask who that may be?" Itachi asked, setting his soup down, and picking up his small glass of tea. Naruto finished his bowl of soup, and picked up the tea that was made as well. "No, I don't know what its name is, all I know is that I have to find the fucker." "Any more damn questions, Teme?" Naruto asked, slightly irritated at Itachi for asking, but not blaming him. Itachi chuckled, not many were so bold to call him names, least alone, with an attitude. "That's fine, as long as we find them then," Itachi said, still having a nice laugh about it. Hinata waited for her team, as they were supposed to meet in Training Ground 12. She leaned against the training post that was there. She let out a sigh, wishing they would get there already. Ever since she got over crying because of Naruto's banishment, she had become more determined to become stronger in Naruto's memory. As Kiba, Shino, and Kurenai appeared into the training ground, Hinata let out a sigh. "Hurry up, slow pokes. I got training to complete." Her expression was bored, and just slightly still depressed. "Wow, Hinata-chan, you're here early," Kiba said, with a happy bark from Akamaru. Shino looked at her and nodded silently as if starting to analyze her. "Nice to see you're so enthusiastic, Hinata. Today, we are sparring and helping each other in their weaknesses. Now Hinata, you re-up first against Kiba," Kurenai said. Kiba looked at Hinata and let out a friendly howl. "You ready, Hinata?" Kiba said, enthusiastically. Hinata nodded and took a Jiyuken stance. "Bring it on, Kiba-kun," she said with a smirk. Kiba lunged forward, attempting to punch her in her gut. Hinata batted his hand lightly aside, and taped his shoulder. The tap shut down his critical point in that arm, rendering it useless for Kiba. Kiba jumped back, his arm hanging limply at his side. "Not bad, Hinata," he said smiling. This might be more of a challenge than he thought. "Thank you, Kiba-kun," Hinata said before charging him. Kiba tried to dodge to the side, but she pressed the followed him, staying close and landed a hit on his right side, numbing his right leg, slowing him down. Kiba retaliated with a punch, but Hinata dodged to the side and hit this shoulder with another crippling Jiyuken strike, not quite disabling the arm, but still slowing it down. Kiba jumped back and threw several kunai, and Hinata caught the first kunai and caught the second one with the ring of the first one, finally batting away the third kunai with a Jiyuken strike. She threw the second kunai back at Kiba, before charging toward Kiba with the first kunai. Kiba pulls a kunai out with his partially disabled arm, and tries to block, but as fate would have it, it buckled underneath the stress of Hinata's blow. It was weak due to the Jiyuken strike earlier. Hinata quickly hit Kiba with a few more Jiyuken strikes, bringing Kiba to the ground. "This battle is over. Thank you, Kiba-kun, for being such a great sparring partner," Hinata said, extending a hand for Kiba to grab so she could pull him back up. Kiba grabbed her hand, and got back to his feet, limping still from the blows. "Good job, Hinata," he said, shocked at the fact she basically pummeled his ass. "Great spar, you two. Now if you re-up for another one, Hinata. Shino is next," Kurenai said, smiling at the fact that her worst fighting student beat one of the others. Such improvement from her, it's amazing. She thought to herself as she watched Hinata nod, getting ready for yet another spar. Gaara walked into his meeting room. Already awaiting him there was Tamari, who had just returned from the leave just a half hour ago. What was their reaction, Tamari? Gaara asked with his usual voice. Tsunade, didn't he really banish Naruto, brother? The civilian members of the council forged banishment for Naruto, and with Tsunade being gone at the time, there was none who could stop it. In fact, many of the council members that were part of a ninja clan weren't even there. Lady Hokage had the council members who did such, executed for treason. She plans on getting a team together post-haste to find and bring back Naruto to the leaf. She did ask for you to reconsider our decision to cancel diplomatic relations. Tamari said as for a report. I want you to head back toward the leaf tomorrow, Tamari. Telephone the Hokage that for now we will drop the decision to cancel diplomatic relations for the time being. Also tell her we will keep an eye out for Naruto, and inform her as quickly as possible and proceed to detain him should he be found. With that, Gaara headed back to his cage room, sat behind his desk, and started once more on the mountain of paperwork that laid there. Tsunade looked at the time. 11:45. She thought before calling in Shizune. Yes, Tsunade-sama? She asked. Call in Team 8, now. She demanded to her subordinate. Yes, ma'am. Shizune said and shushined out of the room toward the training grounds where Kurenai said they would be for the day. Time skip, 15 minutes later. Here they are, Lady Tsunade, Shizune said to the Hokage. You are here to retrieve Naruto, Team 8. You are to avoid using force, but if the matter requires it, then do so, just get him back here. She said quickly. Tsunade couldn't afford to lose any more time not finding Naruto, as by now, he could have easily been captured by one of their enemies or killed. Yes, ma'am, right away. Kurenai said, as her and her team shushined out of the room, and toward their respectable houses to gain supplies before heading out. Kakashi stood at the memorial stone. I am sorry, sensei, and Obito. I don't know where I have gone wrong with Sasuke. Had I been a better teacher, Naruto wouldn't have been banished, and wouldn't been in such a bad condition. Kakashi said, stop beating yourself up, you one-eye fuck. It ain't your fault that the emo brat tried to be gay with Orochimaru, and attempt to run away. Anko slurred out, just barely as if she had a bottle of sake. Kakashi sighed. Don't try to convince me it wasn't my fault. I could have been a much better sensei. My sensei taught me the importance of equal training, but I focused on Sasuke more than the rest, he groaned. Listen here, Hitaki Kakashi, either you going to snap out of it or I'll place things in certain holes of your body that were never meant to go there. She said, in a threatening tone. Kakashi knew it was best to leave that subject where it was. Come on, Kakashi, let us go get a drink. Refusing to take no for an answer, Anko grabbed Kakashi's arm, dragging him unwillingly toward a bar. Anko, I don't want, he started, but as she dragged him, he realized it would be of no use, and quickly shut up. Good thing you shut the fuck up, Hitaki. Because no matter how much griping and moaning you do, you're still coming along. By the way, if you continue to moan, I might just make you do so in front of everyone else. Wouldn't that be embarrassing? She said excitedly, as if she wanted to do that to the poor Jonin she dragged along. With Kakuzu and Hidan, we are close now, the tracks are getting fresher. Kakuzu said as he approaches Hidan after scouting ahead a bit. Finally, I need to make a sacrifice to Jashin soon. Hidan said maliciously while drawing his scythe. Don't go overboard, Hidan. We need the Kyuubi Jinchuriki alive to extract his Biju, and pain will destroy us if we kill him. Kakuzu warned his bloodthirsty partner. I know, I won't kill him, but Itachi has no such use to keep him alive for. Hidan said, let's get moving, they are at an almost empty onsen up ahead. We should draw them out to prevent news of this from spreading too quickly. If anyone finds out we have the Kyuubi Jinchuriki, they may try to interfere, and we need more than the usual 3 days to extract the Kyuubi due to its monstrous chakra levels. Kakuzu said. With that, the Akatsuki's immortal partners leapt out of the clearing, leaving no trace that they had ever been there. He went this way, Kiba said with a little hesitation, but I can't be sure, the trail is faint. Let's go, team, Kurenai said. With that, Team 8 leapt from the clearing, leaving little trace of their passing. I hope we can get Naruto back, if for no other reason than Hinata's sake. She has become stronger faster than ever before, but this can't be good for her, Kurenai thought. Itachi sipped a bit more on his soup, when feeling the all-too-familiar chakra signatures. Naruto, we leave now. His voice was demanding and forceful as he grabbed Naruto's arm, jerking him up. Dude, what the hell is your problem? Naruto asked, jerking his arm back. Itachi glared at him for a second, before quickly relaying the story of what went on before he met up with the child. Now, I can feel their chakra here, we mustn't dawdle. I'd rather not fight them, let alone in a populated area. Itachi said, heading for the exit out of the outpost from which they were at. Naruto realized the seriousness in the ex-Ambu's face, and decided to take his word for it. Kyuubi, what do you feel? Kit, I feel what the Uchiha is as well. As they shushined away toward an empty clearing, a guy in a big black cloak, with red clouds on it, yelled out, there you are Itachi. Jashin demands your sacrifice. With that, he and another one in the same cloak shushined towards them. Itachi turned around, shushining backwards, Kage Bushin no Jutsu. Two more Itachis appeared, one with a kunai in his hand, rushing toward Hidan, while the other did some hand seals rushing forward, with a small weak Chidori in his palm toward Kakuzu. Hidan slashed forward his scythe, killing the shadow clone before it could even reach him, but it did slow down Hidan for a moment. Kakuzu smiled and dodged the attack altogether, as the chakra from the Chidori drained the shadow clone, which turned to smoke as the Kakuzu dodged it. Itachi and Naruto were now out of sight within this small 2-second battle, as the two Akatsuki members stopped for a moment. They're becoming annoying, Hidan said, with slight irritation. Kakuzu looked about, and said in a calm voice, they are right around in that clearing, and they have stopped. Let's get this over with, shall we? He asked his partner. With a nod, the two walked towards the two shinobi, with their weapons drawn. Itachi and Naruto awaited in a clearing, with the grass to be short and plush green. Their eyes, however, weren't upon the luxuries of this lovely field. They were upon the entrance, however, as two more shinobi appeared. Kakuzu and Hidan to be exact. Finally going to let us kill you, Itachi? And look, the Biju for the 9 tails as well. We should congratulate you for giving him to us. Hidan said, smiling, readying his scythe. Naruto smiled, as 4 of his Shadow's clones surrounded Hidan, rushing the immortal Akatsuki member. With a simple swipe of his scythe, Hidan took out 3 of the 4, but these didn't just poof away in smoke like regular ones. As soon as Hidan's scythe swept into them, they exploded, resulting in Hidan being knocked back from the force of it. Straight into the 4th one, who came up behind him, who latched himself around Hidan, with both arms and legs, before exploding immediately himself. This knocked Hidan into the air. Meanwhile, Kakuzu had his eye upon Itachi. Itachi didn't wait for his ex-comrade to speak, instead, rushing forward, his Sharingan activated. Now Kakuzu saw this, jumping back, doing the hand seals for water style, water dragon jutsu. As this dragon shot forward, which Itachi saw coming, he awaited, and used the same jutsu to get counter of Kakazu's. Then, Itachi jumped in the air, fire style, giant fireball jutsu. He said calmly, shooting out a giant flame toward Kakuzu. The Akatsuki member used a water vortex jutsu to counter and try to hit Itachi. However, Itachi wasn't there after the jutsu. Where is that damn Uchiha? Kakuzu thought. Rikari, was the response, as if Itachi heard the man's thought. Kakuzu turned around quickly, and saw in a flash, Itachi, with what looked like lightning in the palm of his hand. Kakuzu jumped back just as Itachi rushed forward. Doing some quick hand seals, Kakuzu yelled, Earth style, Great Barrier Wall. An earth wall jolted out of the ground right in front of Itachi, who jumped on top of it, before lunging toward Kakuzu. Naruto smiled as he saw Hidan fly in the air, and landed with a thud back on the ground. Not wasting any time, however, he had a Rasengan forming in the palm of his hand, with the help of a clone, of course. He rushed toward Hidan, who was now on his feet, rushing toward Naruto. You can kill me, boy, he yelled, laughing sadistically. As Naruto just about reached him, Hidan slashed his scythe forward, in an attempt to cut the Biju, not fatally of course. Naruto lunged forward, blocking the scythe with his free hand, and shoving the Rasengan forward with the other. Hidan let go of his scythe, and dashed backwards. Humph, you're strong, boy, but nothing you do can save yourself from me. Hidan smiled, before throwing a kunai, several actali, at Naruto, who spun the scythe to block them. Though this was just a diversion, as Hidan shushined. To where though was the thought of the Biju? In that second a devastating kick struck the unexpecting Naruto. Though Naruto shot a hand down sending him back to his feet, he still winced in pain slightly. The attack had hit him right in a nerve, pinching it, and it was painful enough to bring most Chunins if not some Jonins to their knees. Hidan rushed forward, not to attack Naruto but to pick up the scythe the youth had dropped. With a swipe, Hidan attempted to hit Naruto, who jumped back. How the hell am I going to kill this guy? Naruto thought as Hidan charged him. Naruto smiled, this time, as he summoned 5 shadow clones, though only 4 were seen. Hidan slashed through them like it was nothing, but the 5th was the one that got him by surprise, exploding with blades of wind hitting Hidan square in the chest. Hidan fell to the ground and Naruto let out a sigh in relief. Maybe these Akatsuki members aren't so tough after all. Hidan got up, quickly, and sliced Naruto's arm, by just barely with his scythe, before jumping back a few feet. Now boy, you've just made your biggest mistake. Kakuzu leapt backwards, but was too slow and was impaled upon Itachi's Rikari. However, Kakuzu pulled himself off Itachi's arm as several masks detached them from his back and floated about. Futon. Rinkuden. Kaden. Karyuenden. Kakuzu called as one of the masks spit out the futon just Su and another spit out the Kaden justice. The 2 jutsu clashed mid-air and combined, forming a deadly wall of fire rushing towards Itachi. I need to finish this quickly. Naruto isn't strong enough to take on Hidan alone yet. Itachi thought. With that Itachi quickly ran through his own seals. Suiden. Hanryu. Futon. Rinkuden. Itachi called forming his own combination jutsu. A spiraling mass of water rushed towards Kakuzu, cancelling his jutsu. Itachi activated his Mangekyo Sharingan and unleashed the deadly Amaterasu at Kakuzu. What? How is he still alive? Naruto thought as the bloodied Hidan got back up, revealing that Naruto had done more damage than he though and had disemboweled him and destroyed his ribs. Hehe. My god would never let me die, so long as I continued to give him sacrifices. Hidan said, despite the fact that he couldn't draw in a breath due to his lungs being mush. Damn, how am I going to kill someone who can't die? Kakuzu leapt backwards, but not in time. The entire left side of his chest had been hit by the deadly eternal black flames, turning the flesh a sickly black color. Kakuzu eyed Itachi over the still burning flames, but made the mistake of looking into his eyes, trusting his near immortality to protect him from dying. The last thing Kakuzu heard before blacking out was the word Tsukiyomi. As Kakuzu collapsed from the mental damage done by Itachi's justice, Itachi quickly took action and, on guard due to Kakuzu taking a Chidori to the chest and surviving, incinerated his body with a Gukakyu Jutsu. Now to go help Naruto, Itachi though as he dashed off in the direction of Naruto's chakra signature. Hidan began to draw his ritual circle on the ground when he was interrupted by another set of Naruto clones and was forced to leap back. Hidan growled in annoyance before charging at the clones and slaughtering them before starting his drawing again. Naruto sent several more clones at Hidan before beginning a jutsu. Once again, Hidan destroyed the clones, but this gave Naruto time to finish his jutsu. Fuuten. Yuha. Repusho. Naruto called, forming a claw-shaped blast of wind and sending it at Hidan. Hidan dodged to the side, but the claw followed him at every turn. After a short while of dogging, the claw managed to get close to Hidan and exploded with massive concussive force, further damaging the already mutilated Hidan. As Hidan got up, there was a burst of chakra as Itachi arrived via Shushin and, taking only a split second to assess the situation, seemed to phase from existence before reappearing and slamming his fist into Hidan's face and unleashing a burst of Amaterasu flames after him. Naruto froze for a second. No one could have survived all this. Was this man truly immortal? He watched how Itachi slammed his fist down and ignited the man in black flames before calling out, "Itachi, come here, I think I have a plan." Itachi nodded, shushining toward the Biju. "Speak quick, Naruto, he'll be here in a second." Itachi's Sharingan already on Hidan, as he sent 2 super clones of himself to occupy the immortal man. Hidan got up, looking around trying to see through the black flames that engulfed him. He could barely see through the flames and saw Itachi running toward him, a kunai in one of his hands. "You really think you can defeat me, Uchiha?" Hidan yelled, swinging his scythe. The Itachi clone jumped on top of the scythe before lunging toward Hidan's head, the kunai slashing the side of Hidan's head as the clone flew past. "Damn it, Itachi." The second clone of the Uchiha stood still doing hand seals for the earth-style, mud shackles around Hidan. "Alright, you got the plan, Itachi?" Naruto asked his partner. Itachi nodded, creating 3 more super clones after Hidan, before looking into Naruto's eyes. "Tsukomi," his voice calm. Inside of Naruto's mind was less than what Itachi had imagined. He had thought it to be magnificent, full of wonder and different regions, instead it was empty. This was the first time his Tsukomi had worked like this, and he wondered was it because he was entering the mind of Jinchuriki, or if it was something else he didn't know of. He saw the blonde-hair kid, standing of what seemed to be a gate, or well Naruto seemed to be outside of. Itachi ran toward it. "Naruto, why did you want me in here?" he said, his voice echoing throughout the place. As soon as he finished his sentence, he felt it, the chakra so dense and powerful it caused Itachi drop to one knee. "Well, you made a bad move coming in here, Uchiha scum." Kyuubi stood behind Itachi, one of his claws outstretched, preparing to strike him down. "No, Fox, stop. Don't hurt him." Naruto's voice was barely audible, however, it was just the fact that he spoke stopped Kyuubi, his claw slowly moving back to the ground, a growl coming from the fox's mouth. Itachi looked at the fox stunned, still not sure why Naruto wanted him to come into such a god-forsaken place. "Why am I here, Naruto?" "Because Itachi, you're going to relay everything you know about Hidan to Kyuubi. This way, Kyuubi can release powers to me, and help us rid of him." Clever kid, by using Tsukomi, each second seems like 72 hours, for 72 hours, in span of a second, in the real world, by using this from what I can tell. "Explain away." Itachi looked at the two, and smirked, clearly Naruto was smarter than he looked, as Itachi began to explain everything he knew about Hidan, including his fighting style, and what he thought most about. This might work, Itachi thought to himself. "Kurenai-sensei, I can hear a battle up ahead." Kiba called as the team rushed through the branches. "I think Naruto may be part of it, as his scent gets stronger up ahead." "Alright team, time to complete our mission, Formation Delta." Kurenai called as her team settled into the well-practiced formation. Itachi smirked as he came back into reality from Tsukomi. His gaze still on Hidan, who now had killed, or dispelled if you will, the 5 clones total that went for him. Rushing forward, he made the Chidori, perfectly. The Uchiha rammed it through Hidan's shoulder, but not jumping back once the attack was done. "You made a mistake not getting away from me, Itachi. Now I won't let you have a second chance." Hidan snarled, bring his scythe in to stab Itachi in the back. Itachi winced as the blade from the scythe went through his back, but he hoped Naruto would come with the rest of the plan. Naruto would be on the ground, his eyes closed, having collapsed from Itachi using his Tsukomi onto him. This was part of the plan however. "Alright you stupid fox, you heard the Uchiha, we have to obliterate that guy. Hence why I'm going to let you have some control the moment I collapse. The Tsukomi will knock me out, you will take control, not full control just some, and attack Hidan, you understand?" "Humph, you're getting some spunk in you kid. I like it, though don't always think you be able to order me around." Kyuubi chuckled, and unleashed some of his power as he felt Naruto's body touch the ground. "Let's have some fun." Naruto's crumpled body began to rise as demonic chakra bubbled from his navel. The Kyuubi cloak formed first one tail, then two. As the second tail formed, Naruto's skin began to peel from his body as his eyes turned completely red. There was a small explosion of demonic chakra and when the dust cleared there was a humanoid creature in the center of the crater. It had a human's body, if somewhat more compact than normal. Its fingers were tipped with deadly-looking black claws. Its face was black with white ovals for eyes and a jagged opening forming the mouth. It had 2 tails twisting and writhing behind it, and its skin was a shifting mixture of black and red. Itachi shushined away from Hidan as the creature blurred towards them. The creature slashed at Hidan, who attempted to block with his scythe, but the scythe broke where it was hit from the force of the blow, sending Hidan flying back. It shot towards Hidan again, extending its arm to unimaginable lengths and grabbing Hidan's arm and ripping him back towards it. As Hidan neared, His arm began to disintegrate and he cut it off in one swift motion to prevent whatever was affecting it from doing more damage. This time cost him dearly, however, as it gave the creature time to slam its other fist into Hidan's face, all but annihilating it, and sending him rocketing back once more. The creature sat down on its rump, much like a cat or other such animal, and purplish black and clear blue orbs gathered in front of its face and began to condense. At the same time, what remained of Hidan was stumbling out of the crater he had created on impact. The orbs finished condensing and the creature stuck its head forward, its jagged mouth opening even more, going so far as to crack parts of its face open, and consumed the ball. Immediately afterwards, it began to grow in size, becoming more rotund. Hidan managed to exit the crater just in time to see the creature open its mouth and suddenly release a massive blast that flickered in and out of sight. Not having time to react, Hidan raised the shattered remains of his scythe and let off one last prayer to Jashin. As the blast hit Hidan, it wrapped around him and carved a trench that continued off into the distance, the end of which couldn't be seen. The chakras surrounding Naruto's body quickly retreated back into the seal on his navel and collapsed into a heap. Some of his skin still peeled away and severe chakra burns covering large portions of his body. Itachi quickly picked Naruto, intending to take him to a secure place to hide until he could move and avoid attracting the attention of the locals who had to be coming to see what had caused the many explosions so near their homes. However, just as he was shining away, he caught sight to a group of Konoha nin land in the remains of the clearing and look at him before he disappeared from sight. Kurenai-sensei is right, Kiba. My Kikai sense that one of the chakra signatures is rather large and the other is giving them a sense of destruction and power. Shino supplied. We move in slow and sneak up on them. That way, if it is an enemy, we can avoid them. Kurenai instructed. Avoid them, why not just kick their asses? Kiba complained. Our mission is to retrieve Naruto, not fight random shinobi. We also can't be noticed as this is supposed to be kept quiet as long as possible. Now let's move, team. Team 8 moved forward silently, Kiba still following the scent trail and Shino keeping his bugs on high alert. Hinata activated her Byakugan and immediately gasped in shock. Sensei, up ahead are Naruto-kun, unconscious, and a man with red eyes and Tomo circling the pupil walking towards him. Hinata whispered fervently to Kurenai. Let's go, team. We have to get Naruto before the man does. If we don't, Naruto is as good as dead. Kurenai said as her team propelled themselves forward. Team 8 leapt through the forest as quickly as they could, only going just slow enough to remain completely aware of their surroundings. They suddenly broke into the clearing just in time to see Itachi heft Naruto over his shoulder and shushin away. Damn it, Kiba howled. Everyone else was silent as the enormity of their failure hit them. Anko smiled as the now completely hammered Kakashi, who seemed to have passed out on the bar. With an evil smirk, she paid for both her and his drinks, before hefting him over her shoulder and carried him out. Several seconds later, as she shushined to her own apartment, she threw Kakashi onto her bed. She smiled once more. This was after all somewhat of a dream come true, as she had had a crush on him for a while now. And now, he's all hers, with no restraints. She slammed her door shut, with a maniacal laughter being heard for rooms around, including the story below and above hers. Itachi shushined a bit farther now, being well into Kei's no Kuni. He laid Naruto onto the ground, and let out a sigh, as sweat dripped from his forehead. He couldn't risk that John and he saw catching them, so he shushined at full speed, while carrying a pretty heavy boy. Naruto, you awake yet? Itachi questioned in his almost unnaturally quiet voice. Seeing the boy move some, he smiled. He was glad to see that he was still okay, but he had to tell Naruto as soon as he awoke, that now, their travels have increased ever so much from that one team spotting them, and not killing them on the spot. Gara-sama, the guards at the edge of the desert have just sent a message that they sensed a massive amount of chakra being expended and, upon investigation, found a large battlefield occupied by a Konoha team. They were sent to find and recover one Uzumaki Naruto and followed his trail to the battlefield where they saw that Uchiha Itachi had recovered him and shushined away from them towards our village. An exhausted Chunin said in between gasps for breath. Very well, you are dismissed. Gara said. As soon as the Chunin had left, Gara called for his best tracking team and his best heavy combat team. When the teams arrived, Gara began to debrief them. There has been a sighting of Uchiha Itachi leaving the scene of a battlefield with the seemingly unconscious body of Uzumaki Naruto. You are to track down the Uchiha and recover Uzumaki. Be wary of the Uchiha. He is an S-rank nuke nin of Konoha and a master of Gen and Ninjutsu and does not slack in taijutsu. He also has a fully developed Sharingan and was once a Konoha Anbu captain. Gaara stoically informed the teams, "Now get moving." "Hi." The teams called out in unison before them all shushined away, leaving large amounts of sand in the office. At this Gaara just sighed and mixed his sand with the sand on the floor before calling it all back into his gourd. "I have to forbid using the Suna Shushin in my office. If I get any more sand in my gourd I won't be able to walk with it on." "You what?" Tsunade yelled. Kurenai looked down, having told her team to stay in their barracks or the training ground till she summoned them. She decided to face the wrath of a Hokage alone. "My lady Hokage, it wasn't like we wanted to let him. I don't think with a group of genin could catch, let alone fight to recapture Naruto against an S-rank nuke nin." Kurenai said softly. She was sure that the Hokage would understand, after all not many could do that of the Jonin level. "You're right. Sorry for going off on you like that, but Naruto retrieving is of the utmost importance." Tsunade sighed, before taking a bottle of sake out, and swigging it. She let out several sighs, afterwards, and was glad Shizune wasn't in to stop nagging her about her addiction to the drink. "Go get me Kakashi. I want him to deliver something to the cage, as quickly as he can." Kurenai nodded, not questioning her superior's orders, before shushunning out of the Hokage's office. Tsunade sighed once more, "That damn Akatsuki. We must get Naruto back," she said, slamming her hands onto the desktop, accidentally breaking it. "Not again." Kakashi awoke in a strange place. He wasn't really sure where he was, but he sure did know that all that drinking at that bar gave him one hell of a hangover. He sighed and rolled over, stretching his arm to grab whatever was left of the— wait, this was an arm. His eyes widened. Did he go home with anyone? Using his hands to feel some more, he felt down a body and down the person's ass. A slight giggle was heard. "Oh, Kakashi. Wanting more are you?" the body said, somewhat quietly, with a hint of sultriness. Kakashi recognized who it was right away, and jolted out of the bed, realizing he was wearing quite literally nothing. "Anko?" he exclaimed. "When? How? Why?" he asked, not sure what to do or say. "Well, you were drunk and I didn't want you getting hurt by yourself, so I brought you back to my place, where you got a little touchy and so did I. Then we hopped in bed, and went at it like rabbits and now here we are," she said bluntly, eyeing him up and down, already looking ready for another round. He noticed her eyeing his body and his hands immediately shot in front of his crotch. "Stop staring," he said, hoping she would, but knowing that she wouldn't. Instead an evil smile was seen as she shot out of the bed, also naked, and pinned the Jonin to the floor. "You're mine now, Kakashi, and no one, and I mean no one else can have you, is that clear?" A deadly intent came from her voice as she leaned down, pressing her lips to the man's, prompting him to respond. Of course he liked her too, who wouldn't, but there was no way in hell he was going to admit it. Not when being scarred and shocked seemed to be getting him a lot farther than his usual act did. Asuma took a puff out of his cigarette, and let it out slowly, feeling something wasn't right. Looking toward the sky, he wondered to himself what it could be. "What's bothering you, sensei?" Shikamaru said boringly as he walked up. "Oh, nothing," Asuma replied, smiling to his smart, but lazy-ass student. Shikamaru sighed, then looked at his teacher. "You've taken 3 times as many puffs a minute you normally do. You've let out about 5 or so sighs within the last 30 seconds, and your eyes seem to be glued to the clouds. Something is obviously wrong." Shikamaru stated his observations. Asuma smirks. "Well then," Asuma chuckled, "I have a feeling something bad has just happened, I just know it," he said somewhat queasily. Ebisu walked up to the group now, more or less, toward Asuma. "Hello Asuma. Sorry to just walk up to you like this but, have you heard?" he said, not bothering to quiet his voice or anything tasking normal. "Heard what?" Asuma asked curiously. "Naruto Uzumaki has been captured by the Akatsuki," Ebisu said, sort loudly as others started to look toward their way. Asuma, as well as Shikamaru's eyes widened. Awesome as for the fact that Naruto, the kid who beat Neji, stopped the Shukaku host, beat Zabuza, Haku, Nad Sasuke, even fought against Orochimaru and survived, is now in the custody of the Akatsuki. And Shikamaru for the fact that Naruto had been captured, though he was wondering what the Akatsuki was. What does Hokage-sama know of the situation? Asuma asked, recovering from the shock. She's gave plans to Kurenai to find Kakashi, and assemble a team of Anbu. Any orders for us? Not yet, no. All we can do right now is hope that it isn't too late. You are to join a team of Suna Nin near their village where they will aid you in the tracking and recovery of Uzumaki Naruto from Uchiha Itachi. Tsunade briefed the team of Anbu. This is expected to be extremely dangerous, but we can't allow the organization Itachi works for to get Naruto for too long. Now move. The Anbu wordlessly disappeared in poofs of smoke. If Itachi's got him, I'm not sure we can recover him. Itachi became powerful more quickly than I did and must have continued to exhibit that quick growth rate. Kakashi said, not reading his little orange book for once. I know, but we must try. If Jiraiya's spy is correct, they will suck the Kyuubi out of Naruto, leaving him a withered husk, if that, and use its power to do who knows what. Tsunade said, taking yet another swig of sake. I know, Kakashi said solemnly as he left the room. Itachi smiled as the boy sat up. Glad you're back with me, I was starting to worry. He joked lightly. Naruto groaned some, as he still ached in several areas of his body, not quite used to this using of Kyuubi chakra to this extent. Yay, what's going on, where are we? Naruto asked quickly, noticing they were no longer anywhere that seemed like the Leaf Village or outposts. We are far in a secluded place in Kase no Kuni, near Suna. I had to travel quickly, while carrying you. Just as we finished Hidan off, a team of Konoha ninja appeared. And I did not wish to increase any such bounty on your head, and did not want for reinforcements to come, so I got us out of there. He said quickly. Though by now, I'm sure the Case Cages knows and he might have a team or two after us as well. Our mission just got quite a bit harder, I am afraid. Naruto nodded to this, and sat quietly thinking, before closing his eyes. Naruto walked in through his blank mind, and walked specifically toward the fox's cage. Alright Fox, where are we going now? We are in Kase no Kuni, near Suna, but it's a big country, and we have ninja teams on our asses, so, where to? Well Kit, there is a plateau, you can recognize it from the small tornadoes, sandstorms, the unusual shit you don't usually see on Plateaus, you know. But here's the thing, it's real close, though it's on a plateau overlooking Suna. We need to get through as quietly as possible, if there are ninja teams after us. The sage doesn't like too many unexpected visitors, especially those who wish to instigate too much violence. Naruto nodded before coming back into reality. Naruto looked at Itachi. We need to go a bit farther, I'm afraid. According to Kyuubi, we need to go a little bit into Wind Country. Itachi sighed, that fox better not have us on a wild goose chase. Naruto gave Itachi a dark look. It doesn't matter if he is or isn't. You better by God appreciate it, that he's even trying to look after us. After all, he could have attacked you while he used my body during our fight with Hidan. So you better don't even start your fucking complain, you understand me? Naruto went off on the poor Nuke Nen. Itachi's eyes widened, shocked. This was a first in a long time that someone had the balls to do. Then a smile formed on his face. Alright Itachi, let's just trust the fox then Naruto chuckled some more. This was going to be an interesting journey. Several miles into the desert past Suna. We almost there Fox? Naruto inquired of the Kyuubi for what seemed to be the 50th time that hour. Almost Kit, just a bit further. The Kyuubi replied, just barely keeping himself from going off on the hyperactive teen. Itachi walked stoically along, his black clothing not seeming to bother him in the least in the intense desert heat. After only 5 minutes, a hazy figure became visible against the horizon. As Naruto and Itachi got closer, they quickly realized that it was a large plateau. Holy hell, that thing's huge. Surely that's what we're looking for, right Kyuubi? Yep, now you just have to climb to the top. And remember not to use chakra, the one we're looking for will know if you do and will flee before you can get to the top. If this guy is so powerful, why would he run? He doesn't like company much, it's better that he runs than the alternative. Do I want to know? He would only kill you, the Kyuubi replied, almost jokingly. By the time Naruto finished his conversation with his inner demon, they had reached the base of the massive rocky formation. Okay, The Kyuubi says that who we are looking for should be at the top of this place and we have to climb to the top. The only problem is that we can't use chakra to do so, or this guy might just kill us. Naruto informed Itachi. Itachi stood completely still for a moment before his left eyebrow twitched, after which he began to wordlessly climb the massive plateau. Kakashi caught up to the team of Anbu who had been waiting for him at the village gate. "Alright, let's head out," Kakashi said, wearing his Anbu Force uniform. He had been reinstated by Tsunade, who thought it to be necessary that Kakashi go after them as Kakashi was Naruto's team leader. The team moved towards Suna at fast rate, not one slowing down in the least. "I hope we can find him." Naruto and Itachi sat upon the ground, gazing at the expanse that was the top of the formation. Just as the Kyuubi had said, it had an unnatural number of sandstorms and wind activity. "Okay, Kyuubi, what now?" Naruto asked. "Now you do exactly what I told you not to. You let off a large spike of chakra. That way, you can meet the sage more on your terms than his. When he arrives, you need to flare some of my chakra. Hopefully that will subdue him enough to explain things. First, though, there is something you will have to do for this to work." "What is it?" Naruto queried. "I have finally completed modifying the Kitsune summoning contract and you will have to summon me to explain things to him. If you don't, he may kill you in an attempt to free me." "Modifying? I needed you to be able to summon me, but due to the seal that binds me it would be impossible without my modifications. I won't be summoned at full power. The Shingami's seal makes sure of that, but I will be able to be summoned at a fraction of my power in a much smaller than before body. This ensures that I can explain things to the sages without them being suspicious." "Oh," Naruto replied. With that, Naruto was once again pulled into his mindscape before the Kyuubi's cage. This time, though, there was a large scroll sitting partially unrolled before the cage. The scroll was empty except for the area where he was to sign. "Just as a forewarning, this will sever your ties with the frogs. You will be unable to summon them and they will be unable to sense your presence. I couldn't really do anything with them anyway. Jiraiya never really taught me anything, as you know. Hey, the Kitsune are better at fighting anyway. We are the best combat summon in existence and have a unit for everything, but I'll explain that later. For now you need to sign the contract. Also, as the boss, I will be giving you a summons tattoo. This will allow you to summon without seals and will allow for reverse summons by any authorized Kitsune in case you need to make a quick escape in a tight spot." Without any further conversation, Naruto kneeled in front of the scroll, bit his thumb, and signed his name in blood, before pressing his blood to the end of each of his digits and pressing them below his name. As he pushed the ends of his fingers into the scroll, there was a burning sensation in the center of his palm, and, when he pulled his hand away, there was a tattoo that covered his entire palm. It was a simple piece, nothing more than the kanji for Kitsune. "Now get a move on, boy," the massive fox said with his trademark vicious grin before pushing Naruto out of his mind. Upon his return, Naruto saw Itachi looking at him oddly. "Talking to the fox," Naruto said in explanation. Itachi merely nodded, being used to unusual things involving Naruto by now. Kakashi and his team of Anbu had appeared in front of the building which housed the cage. "Here we go." Kakashi stepped in, having his team follow silently in pursuit. Tamari stepped into the cage's office. "Brother, Konoha's Anbu team is here. Shall I send them in?" she said. Gaara only nodded his head, ready to debrief the Leafs team. "Damn, I was hoping to have caught Naruto by now," Gaara thought to himself as Kakashi and a team of 3 more Anbu walked in. "Hello, Kakashi. We have many of our own squads looking for Naruto throughout our territory. Our scouts last saw tracks heading deeper into the desert past us. So start your search in that direction," Gaara said, using his usual cold voice. Kakashi nodded and shushined away, along with his squad, out of the cage's room. Sand fell from the top and got sucked into Gaara's gourd. "Damn it, new rule, no shushining in my office," Gaara yelled, pissed as the extra weight caused him to fall on his ass. Naruto let off a small flare of chakra, creating a small, brief aura of chakra to form around his body. Upon Itachi's raised eyebrow, Naruto explained. "Kyuubi says that now that we're at the top, we need to attract the attention of the guy we're looking for. After that, we let Kyuubi handle things." As Naruto finished, the wind around them picked up, kicking more sand into the air and all but destroying their visibility. It's been a long time since I've had company. Unfortunately for you, I don't like company. A voice rumbled from around them, seeming to come from every side. Naruto quickly flared a burst of Kyuubi's chakra before quickly following with his summons. Naruto bit his thumb and wiped the blood across the kanji on his palm. There was a small poof of smoke, typical of summons, before the smoke cleared in the furious winds. Sitting on the ground was a mini version of the Kyuubi with only one tail. Now, Zephyr, is that any way to treat guests? The small fox called out. Kyuubi-sama? The person now identified as Zephyr called, clearly shocked. No, I'm the ghost of your forefathers, come to haunt you. Kyuubi called sarcastically, now stop this annoying breeze so we can talk face to face. Still sarcastic and humorless Kyuubi? Zephyr called, the wind dying down, the sand falling with it, to reveal a fox about the size of a dog. The fox had sandy, gray-tinted fur and gray eyes. No whites, just the pupils and gray expanse. Still a bipolar psychopath? Kyuubi responded, a grin forming of his face. The Anbu team reached the plateau, suppressing their chakra to the bare minimum for the time being. Kakashi spoke up in a loud whisper. Alright, as we all know, our target is Naruto Uzumaki, if we find him. If Itachi Uchiha is seen, let me deal with him. Your target and objective is Naruto. Understood? The team nodded. Kakashi hoped they would be here, as they rushed the plateau being silent, but using chakra to quickly climb it. After all, this was a search. If Naruto wasn't here, they would need to call in to confirm it and continue on the search. Kakashi could see the top in his sight and wouldn't be but less than a minute before he would, and so would his team reach the top. He just hoped that Naruto would be up here. Tsunade sighed once more as she continued to do her mountains of paperwork. I really should have a small army of secretaries for this kind of stuff. Most of it is minor village workings, not something the cage of a shinobi village should be wasting her time doing. Tsunade thought. At that moment Shizune entered the room, another stack of paperwork in her arms. Shizune, start work on finding a group of civilians to go over this paperwork. Almost all of it pertains to things that a lower government official could attend to, and it eats up too much of my time. Tsunade ordered before going back to the stacks of paperwork, not even sparing Shizune a glance. Hi, Shisho. Shizune replied. Tsunade-sama has really changed since Naruto left. She doesn't constantly try to dodge her paperwork, she drinks less, and she even hasn't hit anyone in days. Shizune thought to herself as she left the office. Hinata was still somewhat depressed. It had been days, maybe weeks or so since any had seen her smile. Though, had any seen in her mind, they would see that she was hiding her true feelings. Inside she was pissed, downright ticked off, at the council, and even more so at Sasuke. In her eyes, had Sasuke not been such a bitch, Naruto would still be here. She sat up quickly, having been in her room. Then, as if something possessed her, she walked out of her room and straight out of the Hyuga complex. When a guard had asked her where she was going, she told him that he didn't need to know, proceeded by, with an "if you don't like you can kiss my ass" attitude. Where did Hinata head off to? Yay. That would be a question the guard would dread to try and answer to Hiyashi. Hinata arrived at the training ground, looking at the post that stood there, and the worn-in area where people had punched, kicked, and generally beat the shit out of it. She took her stance, and with a powerful blow she struck the wood. One after another, she relentlessly struck it, kicks and all. What do you mean? You don't know where my daughter is? Hiyashi asked the guard. The guard trembled and whispered out. I mean, she just left the compound, sir, and Not a good enough answer. Hiyashi stared at the man, with a death-cold look in his eyes. In one hand he had his family's katana. In the other, he had a stone, sharpening the katana's blade. You had better find her, or it'll be you who'll suffer the consequences. The guard straightened up and left Hiyashi's office. After the door shut, the guard let out a breath of relief for the time being. But any who saw him would laugh. As he apparently was so scared, he pissed himself. We don't own this scene, it belongs to the list 10 rules for dating my daughter by Hyuga Hiyashi, created by Shani Wong. Bipolar psychopath? Naruto questioned, looking at the odd sandy gray fox. He's not actually bipolar. The Kitsune Senin have personalities that are naturally similar to their elements. No one has ever figured it out to date. Most are too afraid that they will annoy the Sennin and get eaten or something. Kyuubi replied offhandedly. Yeah, that makes me feel much better. Naruto replied sarcastically. They're powerful as hell though, and I'm going to have all of them train you at one point or another. So don't worry, if you survive, you'll probably be stronger than anyone else around. Kyuubi said. Off the side, Itachi was rather glad that he wasn't in this increasingly odd conversation. Hey, what about Itachi? What is he going to be doing? Naruto suddenly questioned, as though in answer to Itachi's thoughts. Well, I suppose I can have the Sennin teach him a few things. Not nearly as much as you will learn, and not the same stuff in some instances, though. For example, each Sennin has a taijutsu style that you will learn that is unique to them. The Weasel Boy will not be learning this. This also extends to some of the jutsu you will be learning and some secret techniques you will learn. That makes sense, I guess. Meanwhile, Itachi was still off to the side. Though, this time his eyebrow was, once again, twitching. We have company, several shinobi of at least high Jonin level by their chakra levels. Zephyr spoke for the first time since Naruto and Kyuubi began their conversation. That just won't do. I was hoping that they thought Naruto was dead since they saw him carried off by the Weasel Boy. Kyuubi mused. They might think that I'm still working for Akatsuki and am taking him to have his biju removed and are trying to kill him to prevent that. Itachi said, speaking for the first time since Zephyr appeared. Perhaps, at which point, we should strive to keep that appearance up. It will help us greatly if they mark Naruto down as dead. I have a sort of hideout near here that I can conceal to the point that they won't be able to find us. Zephyr said. That's a good idea. Let's go before our unwelcome company arrives. Kyuubi said before they all followed Zephyr over the plateau. Kakashi used all his strength to get up here as quickly as he did. He could sense Naruto's chakra. Almost there, Naruto, he said, urging himself to go on. He wasn't sure where exactly the rest of his Anbu team was at. He knew behind him, of course, but not sure where exactly. He was blinded by the goal, one could say. He used his left hand to lift up his headband to reveal his Sharingan eye. He reached the top and what did he see? Nothing but footprints. One pair. Obviously a civilian, and something else, like paw prints. What was a civilian doing here? Could it be that was Itachi was wearing now? But what about Naruto? Where were his prints? We lost Kakashi-senpai. An Anbu wearing a bear mask stated as the group stood looking around to try to figure out where Kakashi had gone. You don't happen to have another tracker, do you? One of the Suna shinobi said. No. Well, shit. How are we going to get back to Suna? None of us have ever been out this far and we didn't memorize the way back. The apparent leader of the Suna team said. And so begins the unfortunate adventure of a group of Suna shinobi and Konoha Anbu. Just a little further to my hideout. Zephyr said. Itachi, carrying Naruto, who had unsummoned Kyuubi, nodded his assent as Naruto simply sat over his shoulder, looking very disgruntled. Zephyr stopped at a seemingly random dune before he released a small pulse of chakra. As he did so, the front of the dune wavered and faded away to reveal a tunnel that led underground. Zephyr quickly entered, followed by Itachi, and put his genjutsu back up as soon as they were in. Naruto jumped off of Itachi's back in joy at being able to move under his own power again. Follow me, and don't go down any of the side tunnels. I don't want to have to spend my night searching for you if you get lost. Zephyr moved deeper into the tunnel, quickly followed by Itachi and Naruto. Kakashi began the descent back down the plateau slowly. At first everything seemed to be alright. He was in charge of his Anbu team and trying to complete a mission, certainly the type of old days he liked to remember. Kakashi stopped. Hey, what the? He noticed that his Anbu team had somehow disappeared, but how? Was he in that much out of it that Kakashi didn't sense their disappearance? Hello dear. The voice was feminine. No, not you, Anko. Sand, 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 sand. I wonder what Bear Senpai is thinking. He is an Anbu captain. He must have numerous strategies and such for getting us out of here going through his head. In the Bear Anbu's mind. Sand, sand, sand. Oh, scorpion, sand, sand. Okay, if we pass one more sand dune that looks like a cat, I'm going to go apeshit on someone. A random Suna shinobi said. 20 seconds later. No, calm down, Shiger, calm down. We also don't own this scene. I don't remember who does, but if you know, tell us and I'll put it in. Tsunade sighed, placing her head into her hands. Why did this have to happen? After all this was over and Naruto was back, the first thing she would do would be to go on vacation. If the stress didn't kill her first. There was a knock at the door. Tsunade grumbled, "Come in." Iruka walked in and sat down in front of her. "Has there been any sign of him, Lady Hokage?" he asked, sad and worried. "No, not yet. But we can't afford to send any more ninja teams out there. I've already sent Anko as backup. We'll just have to hope for the best." Anko pinned Kakashi down. "I was told to meet up with you, and so I am." She whispered lustfully into his ear. "But, the team," Kakashi tried to say. "Well, do it quick. Come on, Kakashi. Please, won't you take me?" Anko whispered, voice oh so filled with lust. 5 minutes alter. "Talk about fucking quick, Kakashi, I didn't mean that quick." Anko yelled loudly. Kakashi got up and looked at her. "Well, don't tell me to go quick if you don't mean it," Kakashi said, walking toward where the Anbu left way earlier. Anko followed, adjusting her clothes. "I'm going to get you back, Kakashi, just you wait." "Okay." The shinobi forces are gone. The sandstorm I called up erased our tracks and forced him to abandon his search. Zephyr informed Itachi and Naruto as they awoke. "Now we should begin your training. Kyuubi-sama informed me that you can only stay here a short time as well as gave me an overview of your skills." Zephyr formed a clone that phased into existence. "Weasel Boy will go with my clone to learn some minor things while I teach Naruto personally." After Itachi left, eyebrow twitching once more, Zephyr began speaking again. "Now, boy, what do you know of nature chakra?" Zephyr questioned. It had been 5 years since Kakashi had failed to find his pupil and mentor's son. 5 years of grief, with every look at the Hokage to be reminding him of his failure. He had, since then, married and settled down, with Anko, who bore him a son of his own, a son he named Minato Naruto Hitaki. The first name for a reminder never to forget what his mentor taught him, and the middle, to remind himself of what happens if he ever neglected his mentor's teachings. Kakashi was now in charge of a 3-genin team, again, this time with 2 girls and 1 boy. One could only hope they would get along. Kakashi walked up to the mission desk, and looked around slowly. His new squad had been doing great, and believe it or not, Kakashi thought it was time for a real mission, not catching cats or digging holes, but a C-rank mission. Protect a transport of goods from here to Sand Village. I guess that one will do, he said out loud as he signed up Team 7 for the mission. From there he left and met his squad at the training grounds, amazingly only 2 minutes late. "Sorry I'm late, traffic you know?" The male of the squad laughed. "Kakashi-sensei, you're a ninja, you don't have to deal with traffic." The boy yelled at Kakashi, who looked on before realizing something was amiss. A girl's hand launched out of the ground, attempting to grab Kakashi's foot before he just barely jumped out of reach, before turning around to see the third member of his squad coming toward him, her legs flying towards his face. Kakashi grabbed her leg, before managing to grab her second leg aimed toward his midsection. The male took this opportunity to strike at Kakashi's back. Bam! Instant contact with a log. "You 3 are getting better and better every day. But enough of that, we start our first C-rank mission tomorrow. So we are going to train a bit more before going home early. Pack everything you will need to get you from here to Sand Village while guarding a transport of goods from bandits. Understood?" Kakashi said, jumping down from a tree. The 3 students nodded and walked off, leaving Kakashi with a sigh. Kakashi made his way toward the monument stone. This was pretty much a set thing Kakashi had done before starting the very first sea mission, though this was only the 4th team he had that got this far in 5 years. "So, do you think anything will happen on the mission?" The male member of the team, whose name is Osoroshi Omoide, stood at about 5 foot 6 inches. He wore black standard shinobi-style pants, an old-style black shinobi shirt, think old movie ninja shirts, a pair of black combat boots, and had his headband wrapped around his left arm. He, quite noticeably, had no kunai pouch at his thigh. "Nah, my sensei at the hospital says that fighting is rare on C-ranked missions, especially those given to fresh genin." One of the girls, Lee Omoide, said. She was Osoroshi's twin sister, standing at about 5 feet 3 inches. She wore blue shinobi pants, a shirt in the same style as her brother, a pair of shinobi sandals, had her headband wrapped around her right arm, and was training to be a medical ninja. She also had no kunai pouch. It could also increase in rank, it's been known to happen. The second girl on the team, Kibo Shoken said. She stood at 5 foot 5 inches. Kibo wore standard shinobi pants, tucked into combat boots, a standard shinobi-style shirt, and had her headband around her neck, like a choker. That would be fun, Osoroshi said, grinning at the chance to fight a shinobi. No, it wouldn't. We could die, Lee argued. Yes, it would. We would finally get to test ourselves in a real shinobi fight. Osoroshi argued back. Don't even start. I don't want to have to deal with a headache the day before our first C rank. Kibo glared at the eternally arguing twins. Well, this is where we split up. See you tomorrow, Kibo. Lee said as she began to drag her brother back to their house, which lay in the opposite direction as Kibo's. The next morning was something most unusual. Kakashi was waiting at the gates before his own squad. Hurry up, you three, he said, sort of excited. Most would say that Kakashi had lost it, but only a select few knew why he was so happy to go all of a sudden. It was his way of trying to make sure Naruto's spirit was in any squad he had, even if none of the others would act this way. Kakashi had to, at least in the beginning. The three genin looked at him, laughed some and stopped. Well, Kakashi-sensei, where's the transport? Lee asked her sensei. She wore the same gear as before, a slight smile on her face, trying to restrain herself from laughing at Kakashi. It was now that Kakashi got serious. It should be here any second. Now orders are we get this to Sand Village. Additional requirements are that we don't open it, we get it there and leave. Got it? Kakashi's voice was serious, his eye that wasn't covered up staring seriously at the students. All three nodded and realized that Kakashi wasn't going to be the usually cool laid-back teacher, but was now in strict mission mode. A young man, about in his 20s or so, walked toward the gate, to be more precise, straight toward the new Team 7. He looked at Kakashi and was holding a small box. Are you four ready? We need to get moving. Kakashi nodded. He knew the man was slightly scared for a different reason than what was said. The man hid the box under a cloak that he was wearing. It was several days into the trip, travel taking longer than it normally would due to the presence of a civilian, and everything was seemingly going well. Kakashi's team had been watching carefully since they had left and had yet to encounter any problems. This, however, was about to change. As the team and the man they were escorting were nearing the border between Hai no Kuni and Kei's no Kuni, they saw a pair of people in the distance. The man on their left stood at about 5 foot 10 inches. He wore black shinobi pants, black shinobi sandals, an Anbu-style shirt, a straw hat, had a kunai pouch strapped to his thigh, and a ninja pouch at his waist. His companion stood at 6 foot 3 inches. He wore the same style pants as his companion, but in blue, a black training GI, kind of like the shirts worn by Dragon Ball Z characters, most notably Goku, just not the same color. A straw hat, a kunai pouch strapped to his thigh, a ninja pouch at his waist, and a sword sat at his waist on his right. He appeared to have no left arm, as the sleeve was empty. Kakashi was instantly suspicious of the new travelers, but decided to not attack in case they weren't hostile. This decision was rethought as they came closer and he recognized them from the bingo book. The man on their left was the infamous Hai no Arashi, a name he had earned through his use of impossibly powerful fire jutsu and a unique fire jutsu that he was supposed to have created himself. The man on the right was known by two primary titles. The first was a name he had earned from time spent in Iwa, the Ryuketsu no Senko, due to his frightening speed that reminded them of the Yondaime Hokage's Hiraishin. The other name was supposed to be something he had devised for himself, the Kitsune Sennin, a name that deeply disturbed the shinobi of Konoha for the reminder of Naruto and the Kyuubi. Kakashi knew that these two worked as mercenaries and were too powerful to risk being attacked first, especially since they were said to only be seen by those who they worked for or needed to confront to do a job. The three genin noticed how their sensei had suddenly stopped, automatically reaching to pull his headband off his Sharingan eye. They knew this was serious. Take our client and get out of here. I'll see if I can hold them off, Kakashi said, dead serious. His students knew well who these mysterious people were, and knew chances of their survival was limited to near nothing if they fought. The boy of the group hoisted the man onto his back and ran, with the two girls covering him, making sure of no attacks were coming. Oh, is that such a way to greet two travelers, Hataki? The one on Kakashi's left. Kakashi made a serious face, grabbing the kunai from his pouch. It's no use, Arashi, Kakashi won't let us pass. He'd rather die before doing so. The Sennin said. Kakashi took the opening as the two enemies, talked. Not wasting time, he created two super clones to create an opening. One went at the High no Arashi and the other at Sennin. The one attacking Arashi was throwing kunais, which High no Arashi easily deflected. Kakashi took the opening, readying a Chidori, and aimed for the man's neck. In a poof of smoke the man was gone. A kick already flying at Kakashi. Poof! A log was in Kakashi's place as he appeared behind Arashi, shoving the Chidori into thin air. The other clone was gone, not even lasting the second that this other battle was going on. Sennin watched the battle, knowing that Arashi was just toying with Kakashi. Hurry up, Arashi. The longer we take here, the longer the time it takes for us to get what we are looking for. His voice was cool and laced with an underlying tone of venom. The next second was a blur, as Kakashi felt a sharp pain. It was a jab, right into his gut, with enough force to make him cough up blood. The next blur was a spinning hook kick to Kakashi's face, sending him flying. The last blur was the intense pain of a stab into his chest. Kakashi was shocked as at the speed and brutal efficiency. The man had moved faster than his Sharingan eye could keep up with. Kakashi didn't have a chance to even block. This was fast, real fast. Kakashi spat up some more blood. Impressive, Hitaki. Most don't survive the first attack, let alone the stone kick into the head or the kunai stab into the chest. You won't die yet if you're as strong as the bingo book said you are. As long as you don't move much, at least. Arashi said, leaving the kunai buried in Kakashi's chest. Was that fast enough, Sennin? Arashi asked, starting to move towards their target. No, too slow for my taste. But alas, now with one of Konoha's top Jonin down. Our bounties not only increased, but the target may be harder to get. Sennin replied. In a flash he was gone, quickly followed by Arashi. Kakashi did some hand seals, summoning his ninja dogs, though only two of them. Go, help my squad, and get them too. Konoha. Kakashi struggled to say. Kakashi's Chidori had dissipated the moment Kakashi lost focus. Not only did he let that drain him, but he wasn't even able to inflict any damage. Reaching into his ninja pouch, he took 2 soldier pills and a blood-replenishing pill and forced himself up, quickly following behind the 2 deadly enemies. By the time Kakashi arrived, the 2 mercenaries had nearly reached his students, Kakashi only being a hair's breadth behind them. Kakashi and the 2 shinobi landed in the clearing at nearly the same time. Keep running, I'll hold them off for a little while longer. Kakashi wheezed out. Sensei, how can we leave you? You have a kunai in your chest and can barely stand. Osoroshi argued. And you wouldn't even stand against them for a second. Kakashi retorted. The one who had been identified as Sennin sighed. If you leave the box and run, we will let you live. We have a tight schedule and need to get the box to where we need it rather quickly. Why do you even want this thing? The rank for this mission is only C rank. Kibo said. Is that what they told you? Konoha can't detect when clients are lying about the difficulty of the mission then. It is imperative that we get what is in that box. Sennin replied, his tone losing any sort of emotion. Now leave or we will kill you all and simply take the box. That would be much more difficult than you may like. Called out the apparent leader of an Anbu squad. Sorry that we're late, we ran into your Nin-ken on our way back to Konoha and decided to come help out. Another sigh escaped Sennin. You really should just give up. We are S-ranked shinobi and none of you are above A rank. To top it off, you have to protect your client and the genin as well. The man named Arashi sighed too as well. Look, either give us the box, or we kill you all, slowly. Kakashi glared at the man, before dropping to one knee, the soldier pills slowly starting to wear off. The Anbu squad rushed forward, attempting to attack the Sennin and Arashi. In a blink of the eye, Sennin had moved to near where the genin forces were, the Anbu squad lying dead. Kakashi struggled to get up, running to the genin and forcing them to run, even with the client. He dared not stop as the one called Sennin looked around at Arashi. Sorry, I figured I'd let you finish the others off if need be. Kakashi and the others were out of sight, though Kakashi was starting to slow considerably. Osoroshi hoisted Kakashi onto his shoulders and struggled to keep up with his teammates. Put me down, Osoroshi. You have to get yourself out of here. The teacher is supposed to die to protect his students. Kakashi complained, though his students didn't listen. The two girls and the client were up front before they suddenly stopped. They were looking at the two they saw earlier. No, we're done for. The client yelled, before tripping back over his feet and wetting his pants like a frightened child. The two kunyachi stepped in front of him. Both having a kunai out, they were prepared to fight to the death against these opponents. Osoroshi was still behind some, being slower due to carrying Kakashi. Out of our way. We would prefer to not have to kill kids. Arashi said, calmly. The next instant, there was a red flash. The two girls were on their backs, as Sennin leaned down to remove the box from the man's cloak. Now let's go, Sennin told Arashi, who nodded, disappearing in a small poof of smoke. Osoroshi had arrived during as Sennin flashed away, and Kakashi recognized the jutsu he used immediately. The Hiraishin? Is it possible someone had replicated the Yondaime's signature jutsu? Time skipped to the briefing on the failed mission. You say you ran into the infamous Hai no Arashi and Kitsune Sennin? And they wanted the box? Yes, Hokage-sama, Kakashi replied, his head hanging in shame at failing. Don't get yourself down, Kakashi. I doubt that even Jiraiya could have beaten those two. You should be glad that you are alive. However, it is odd that they wanted the box so much as to kill an entire squad of Anbu and risk us sending Hunter Nin after them. Tsunade consoled. It was really weird. They said that they needed to get the box somewhere quickly. Osoroshi spoke up. Tsunade sighed, as bad off as we've been since Naruto was banished, this is not going to help our economy. Having one of our strongest shinobi completely helpless on a C-rank mission, despite the fact that you ran into two S-rank shinobi, will lower our reputation significantly. You are dismissed, get some rest. Arashi and Sennin both appeared before a cave, before deciding to stop. Take a few breaths. Arashi used a seal that prevented anyone from reaching their campsite so they could rest for the night. Is this it? Yes, Itachi, it is. We finally have it. Tell me exactly what was in that box, sir, and why you only wrote down for a C-rank mission, when it should be clearly S-rank. We shouldn't have sent only one genin squad with you. We should have sent out the entire squad of Jonin and Anbu, and perhaps even me. Tsunade yelled at the man. The man cowered before letting out a sigh. What was in that box was top secret. The only ones to know was the Cage and I, and that's for a very good reason. The man said slowly, what was in the box was. Gaara looked out from his balcony. A pigeon had just flown off from it and he let out yet another of his one too many sighs. A ninja shushined into the room and stood behind the Cage. Cage-sama, forgive me but this is important. What is it? They have it, sir. They have the box. Now that we have it, Suunga is complete and can't harm anyone. Sennin said as he pulled a purple-colored orb that was about the size of a baseball from the box. The orb fairly radiated an aura of hatred and evil. Sennin slid the left side of his shirt off, revealing that his left arm was wrapped in medical tape that was covered in seals. After pulling the evil-suppressing seals off of Suunga, Sennin drew the sword with his left hand. Taking the orb in his right, he put it into the hollow at the end of the sword where it had originally rested. As he did so, the aura of malice nearly quadrupled and purplish tentacles sprouted from the handle where it connected to the blade. The tentacles moved towards Naruto's arm, only to be blasted back by a lighter purplish aura that radiated from several of the seals. The tentacles quickly retreated back into the blade with an odd hissing noise. Sennin resheathed Suunga before replacing the evil-suppressing seals, in greater numbers this time. What was in the box was an ancient artifact known as the Jigoku no Mi, Hell's Eye. It is, in legend, all that remains of a sword that was supposed to be able to raise hell itself into the human realm. The reason we didn't want anyone to know about its importance is that anyone who comes into contact with the Jigoku no Mi begins to go insane and eventually starts spouting off things about the sword of legend in hell and demons. We knew that if this information got out, then people seeking the power of the Jigoku no Mi and the sword of legend would attack. He explained to Tsunade. Tsunade sighed, sensing that something very bad was going to happen soon. What do you mean they have the box? Who? Gaara yelled, enraged at the loss of such a dangerous item. According to the information we got, the transport was attacked by two S-ranked shinobi, Hai no Arashi and the self-proclaimed Kitsune Sennin. Send out a team to retrieve it, We can't let anyone get what is in the box. The team of Anbu Sand Ninja poofed out of the Cage's room in an inevitably futile attempt to track down the two ninja, from where they were last seen. Gaara looked around before taking a deep breath. Damn it, Kakashi struggled to open his eyes. The night before he didn't sleep too well, but now he was awake, though barely. The sunlight had filtered through his window, and he wondered what was going on. It's true he had been living with Anko for a while, but, normally, she liked to keep the room dark. Oh well, Kakashi thought before slipping back into the land of dreams. At Gaara's office after the failed attempt to find Sennin and Arashi. I'm sorry Cage-sama, we could find no trace of them. It's as though they simply disappeared into thin air. The Suna Anbu reported. You are dismissed. Go rest. Gaara replied, staring out the window of his office. Hi Cage-sama. The Anbu replied in unison before leaving. At Orochimaru's lair, I guess you can call it. Kukakuku. Soon Konoha will fall and I will have my perfect body. Orochimaru said to himself as the dignitaries from Iwa, Kumo, and Mizu departed. At wherever the Akatsuki gather. Now is the time. Begin capturing your assigned targets. Pain ordered the gathered Akatsuki members. Several months later. Hokage's office. We're fighting a losing battle, Jiraiya. Tsunade sighed as she drank some sake. I know Suheim. 3 on 2, and with Akatsuki after Gaara and the other Jinchuriki, are not good odds. If we don't find some way to match them, then we will lose. Jiraiya replied, also drinking. But how can we win? Ever since Naruto was banished, and subsequently died, we've been pretty much on our own. I'm somewhat surprised that Suna is even helping us. We could always hire mercenaries. It's a little risky, but if we keep the number down and hire powerful ones, then we should be fine. Jiraiya offered. Who though? And where will we get the money to pay them anyway? I have an idea as to who we hire. I'll leave in the morning and, hopefully, I will return with some S-ranked help. Jiraiya said, jumping out the window. With Itachi and Naruto, wherever they are, this war is quite troubling. Itachi stated. Yeah, I don't like it. If Orochimaru wins, and at this rate he will, then who knows what sort of hell the elemental nations will be subjected to. What are you implying, Naruto? Itachi said suspiciously. I think we are going to have to join Konoha and Suna in their fight against the others. I don't like Konoha, but there are still some people in that village that still deserve to live and I can't let Suna die. Are you sure? I know that you have some really bad memories there. Yeah, I'll just deal with it. We'll move out in the morning and offer our services as mercenaries to them. Naruto replied before lying down and going to sleep. With Kakashi, Guy, and Asuma. You ready for this you two? Asuma asked, taking a puff from his cancer stick. Kakashi simply nodded, having his headband up, revealing his Sharingan eye. Guy leapt up and started to go on about the flames of youth. Just then, a group of 5 sound shinobi encircled them. Guy leapt up, and, in a blinding flash attacked one of the Jonin of the group head-on. Asuma followed suit, holding his special chakra blade knuckle dusters as Kakashi looked at the 3 others. Mangekyo Sharingan, he whispered. A portal seemed to appear out of nowhere, as the 3 frightened shinobi tried to escape, but to no avail, as the black hole-like portal swallowed them up. The other 2 comrades of Kakashi were done beating their enemies, or in Asuma's case cutting, their opponents into bite-sized pieces. Alright, Outpost 2 secure. I'll move on to Outpost 3. Kakashi, you take Outpost 4. Guy, you take Outpost 5. Asuma said. The 3 Jonin shushined to where they needed to be. In the battle, there had to be at least a 3-man Jonin squad at the outposts of Konoha at all times. As Otto liked to try to sneak in suddenly, at random times and places. Anko breathed out slowly as she walked out of the bathroom. She couldn't let any others know. She couldn't even believe that this was true. In the instant she quickly turned back around and ran back into the bathroom, throwing up in the toilet once more. This is the 2nd time I've had morning sickness. Today, and the 3rd day in a row. Is it possible? Naruto and Itachi awoke quickly. Quickly getting dressed, they made their way to the road and began towards the place that Naruto wished to never see again, Konoha. It wasn't too long before a man with long white hair, and was kind of goofy looking stepped towards them. Hi no Arashi, Kitsune Sennin. I need to speak with you. Naruto's thoughts jumped quickly. It's Jiraiya. Does he know? No, it isn't possible. I wonder what he wants though. As Naruto thought this, Itachi spoke up, "What is it, old man? We have no time for casual conversations, and unless you have some business, we will kill you for blocking our way." It wasn't normal of Itachi to say this, but time was of the essence if they wanted to help Konoha. "I would like to make you an offer. I know that you two work as mercenaries and Konoha happens to be seeking your employment." Jiraiya said, "Really now?" Itachi said, taking care to not reveal that they were heading to Konoha to offer their services, "And what can Konoha offer us? Last I heard, your village is all but broken on the losing side of the war. We have more than enough money to pay the price for your employ." Jiraiya negotiated. Naruto and Itachi looked at each other for a moment, communicating silently, before Naruto spoke. "Very well. We will accompany you to Konoha to see if you can offer enough to keep our loyalty." With that, Naruto, Itachi, and Jiraiya leapt off in the direction of Konoha. Tsunade took another swig of her sake before putting it up. She hoped Jiraiya wouldn't disappoint them, as S-rank mercenaries could save them, but could also destroy them. She only wondered who they might be. There was a quick knock on the door as Tsunade hid her sake. "Come in," the Hokage said softly. Hinata walked in and looked at her. "Lady Hokage, what is it you wanted me here for?" she asked. She stood up right and strong, not fearing anything. "Hinata, we have 2 mercenaries coming here. It will be your job to be their medic, and to keep an eye on them in case they betray us." Hinata nodded and turned to leave. "What time should we expect them?" "I don't know. Just whenever Jiraiya brings them here. Midday at the outposts." Kakashi sat down, having his headband back over his eye, taking deep breaths, along with Guy and Asuma. "How many more are there? We must have killed hundreds." Kakashi complained, taking a deep breath. Guy did the same but said nothing as Asuma took a puff from his cigarette. "Well, good news is they stopped for now." Council room with Tsunade, the council members, Itachi, Naruto, and Jiraiya. "You are aware why your presence has been requested?" Tsunade asked the 2 mercenaries standing before her. "You wish to employ us to aid in your war?" Itachi replied. "Correct. We are willing to pay you 50,000 ryo each for your services for the duration of the war." Tsunade offered. 50,000? We would be fighting a war against a superior force that has a large advantage and would be fighting on the losing side. "We want 1 million ryo each for our services for the duration of the war, and we will be given asylum from any crimes, once committed in this nation and others, whenever we wish it," Itachi said, narrowing his eyes in annoyance at their low offer. 100,000 in asylum from all crimes you both have ever committed." Tsunade offered. 800,000 in asylum. Tsunade glanced at the council members before making another offer. 500,000 ryo to each of you for the duration of the war, and you are pardoned for all crimes you have committed in this country and will have asylum from the other nations. Naruto sent a look at Itachi before he could reply. "Very well, we accept." Naruto spoke for the first time. "We will provide lodgings for you for the duration of your stay with us, and you will be assigned a Konoha shinobi to act as your medic." Tsunade said. "You mean act as our watcher?" Itachi stated rather than asked. "I assure you, she has personally trained under me and is the best medic we have short of me. We do not need a medic, we are able to heal ourselves." Naruto sent Itachi another look, "But we will tolerate her presence, I suppose." Itachi finished. "Jiraiya will show you to where you will stay and you will meet your team member when we do the evaluation of your skill." Tsunade said, "Be at training ground 34 tomorrow at 10 a.m. With that, Naruto and Itachi left with Jiraiya. "Only 500,000 ryo? Cheapskates." Itachi mumbled under his breath, as Jonin looked at him and Naruto muttering things about the Hai no Arashi and Kitsune Sennin. Naruto let out a sigh, but deep down he had a feeling that this was going to be more difficult once they met their new team member. Just then a female Jonin pushed past the 3 people walking and headed straight for the Hokage's tower. "Hey, watch out there, woman," Itachi said out loud, already annoyed due to the day's events, as Anko stopped. "I'm not in the fucking mood for any shit right now, shut the fuck up, leave me alone, or I'll make Orochimaru's experiments look like child's play after I'm done with you," she screamed, obviously pissed off. Itachi made to move before Naruto stopped him. We don't need any deaths on the first day for one. And for two, we don't need to kill 2 people. He whispered toward Itachi, who nodded understanding. Anko took a deep breath as she knocked on Tsunade's door. "Come in." The Hokage said softly. The soft clank of a sake bottle being put up was heard. Anko opened the door and shut it behind her before standing before her leader. Lady Hokage, I have something I must tell you. What is it, Anko? Are you alright, my lady? A giant thud was heard from the office as Tsunade fainted from shock. The next day at the aforementioned training ground at 10 a.m. Okay. We will be testing you each to see what you are best at so that we will know what types of missions to send you two on. Tsunade, who was accompanied by several Anbu and Jiraiya, said, the way we are doing this is a battle test. You will each face off against several of my Anbu and, if you beat the Anbu, you will face down either Jiraiya or me. Itachi stepped forward. Very well, I will fight first. Cat, dog, tiger, bear, you will be his opponents. Everyone else, move to the edge of the training ground to give them room. Tsunade ordered. The Anbu quickly surrounded Itachi. Bear in front, cat to his left, tiger behind him, and dog to his right. Bear charged forward, intent on seeing what the famed High no Arashi could do. Bear launched a punch, only for Arashi to move just enough to dodge his attack and retaliate with a kick. Bear dodged the kick, only for Cat to attack Arashi with a flying roundhouse. Arashi ducked, grabbing Cat's leg and tossed her at Tiger, who had taken the chance to attack from behind. Cat had forced Tiger to jump over his comrade, slamming down towards Arashi. Arashi saw this and easily moved, which happened to leave Bear behind him. So they want to play, huh? Time to take this up notch. Arashi thought to himself, turning around quickly, and in a blur even to Tsunade's eyes. Arashi's fist slammed into Bear's torso. In the next few seconds, Arashi had torn through the Anbu. He was moving at about Might Guy's speed. Is that all you have? I was just getting warmed up. Well done. You live up to your bingo book entry, but next you'll have to fight me. First to see what Sennin can do though. Rat, hawk, boar, dog, you're up. Tsunade said, stopping the fight, knowing that if it continued her Anbu may have gotten seriously hurt. The Anbu assumed the same surrounding formation as their companions had against Arashi. Rat on the left, hawk at front, dog on the right, and boar behind. Hawk charged forward, obviously a Hyuga by his stance, and tried to land a hit on Sennin, only for Sennin to mimic his companion and move just enough to dodge the attacks before retaliating with a powerful kick to Hawk's chest that sent him flying. In the meantime, Boar had charged from behind, with Dog approaching from the right and Rat forming a hand seal. Dog went for a sweeping kick, only for Sennin to jump over it and use the opportunity to land a roundhouse on both Dog and Boar. By the time he had landed, Rat, who was now revealed to be a Nara, had captured him in his shadow. Cage Main no Jutsu, success. Sennin simply smirked before flaring his chakra and disappearing. He reappeared behind Rat, slamming his fist into the back of Rat's head. Enough, Tsunade called, seeing that, once again, her Anbu stood no chance. Okay, now I will fight Arashi. Prepare yourself kid, I'm a lot stronger than all those Anbu combined. Itachi smiled, he loved a good challenge. He moved forward, not taking any stance at all and taking a deep breath. Bring it on, Granny, he said, his humor evident in his voice. Tsunade lunged forward, preparing to smash Arashi's face as Arashi moved quickly. She's fast. As he appeared behind her, swinging his leg down, however, she substituted to above him. This became the substitute war, as Itachi did the same, with Tsunade following in pursuit. Itachi and Tsunade continued to substitute and counterattack until Tsunade managed to land a hit on Itachi. Ha, got you brat, Tsunade said, only for the Itachi she hit to poof into a cloud of smoke. Tsunade scanned the area for her opponent, only to find him and a clone finishing a set of hand seals. Kaden, Dai Enden, Fuuten, Daitopa, the two said in unison, turning the already large blast of fire into a raging wall of flames heading towards Tsunade. Tsunade slammed her fist into the ground, creating a wall of earth to block the wall of flame, only to have Itachi appear beside her. Itachi swung his fist, only for her to duck, just to have the real Itachi spring from under the ground, slamming his fist into her jaw and knocking her into the air. As Tsunade fell back, Itachi somersaulted into the air and landed some feet away from her. Had this been a real battle, I would have instead shoved something sharp and pointy into you and killed you. Itachi said, looking at her, I believe you are up Sennin. Tsunade, recognizing that Arashi could have killed her, moved to the side of the field before gesturing to Jiraiya to face Sennin. "Hey, don't underestimate me, kid. I'm much stronger than Suheim over there," Jiraiya said as he moved towards the center of the field to face down the self-proclaimed Sennin. "You would do well not to underestimate me either, Jiraiya. I am also much stronger than my comrade," Sennin replied. Jiraiya charged forward, intent on seeing what the seemingly one-armed man could do in taijutsu. Jiraiya launched a punch, only for Sennin to brush it aside and do a sweep kick that Jiraiya jumped over and used as a chance to roundhouse kick Sennin, who leapt backwards to dodge. Sennin charged in, a blur to movement of the people on the field, and began furiously attacking Jiraiya, using mostly flurries of kicks mixed in with occasional backhands or punches from his right arm. Jiraiya and Sennin disengaged. "Hey, you're pretty good, kid. Doden. Yomi Numa," Jiraiya called, flashing through hand seals. Sennin quickly leapt, performing his own one-handed seals at a blinding pace as he did so. "Suiden. Suiryuden no Jutsu. Raiden. Jion," Sennin called, the water from Jiraiya's jutsu forming a large dragon that charged Jiraiya, combining with a powerful bolt of chakra lightning. Jiraiya flew through another set of hand seals. "Doden. Doryu Heki." Jiraiya created a wall of earth to stop the dragon and try to ground the lighting, though some of the lighting still managed to get through, shocking Jiraiya. Jiraiya smiled. "Quite an attack you got there," before taking a stance and looking at his opponent. "But let's say we heat this up a bit?" Jiraiya rushed forward, launching a punch towards Sennin's stomach. Sennin jumped up, slamming a kick into the back of Jiraiya's head, who then rolled forward to dodge it. Jiraiya ran toward a tree before turning around doing hand seals. "Fuuten. K's no Hari," Jiraiya called. Sennin smiled, as the wind condensed and shot 4 nearly invisible needles at him. The next instant there was a red flash, then another, and Jiraiya was on the ground. However, Jiraiya poofed into smoke. "A clone? I wonder when," Sennin said aloud, taking a stance. Jiraiya smiled, apparently switching himself with a clone after he received the shock from behind the earth wall was a good idea, as he hid under the ground, letting himself feel for the chakra signature, to see where his opponent was at. Sennin stomped his foot. "Doden. Konagona ni nata chikyu," Sennin said, causing the ground to shatter into large boulders and chunks of earth, forcing Jiraiya out of hiding. "Kachiyose no Jutsu," Jiraiya called, summoning a large toad. "Gamahiro, oil," Jiraiya called, forming hand seals. "Kaden. Gamayu Enden." The large toad spat out a stream of oil that Jiraiya lit with his fire jutsu, creating a massive stream of fire raging towards Sennin. Sennin flew through more one-handed seals upon seeing Jiraiya's jutsu, Kachiyose no Jutsu. Inferu no Daio, Sanka. Summoning Technique. Inferno Squad. Division 3. There was a poof of smoke that covered the area around Sennin before the area was engulfed in flames. The surrounding ninja watched in anticipation as the smoke and dust cleared, revealing Sennin standing unharmed and surrounded by a group of 10 foxes of varying size, coat color, and tail number. "Attack the white-haired man," Sennin commanded the group of foxes. Jiraiya was stunned to see not only one fox summoned but 10. His first thought skipped to the Kyuubi, but he knew that Naruto was dead and the Akatsuki had the Kyuubi. In this moment of distraction, 2 of the foxes rushed forward to dig their claws into the man's legs. A hasty substitution saved him, but the other 8 seemed to have followed him. "Man, these things are fast. I'm going to have to go a tad bit harder yet on this guy." Jiraiya put his hands together as though he was praying as he gathered his chakra. "Kaden. Karyuden. Doden. Doryuden," Jiraiya called, 2 dragons, one of earth and one of fire, forming and spitting out a barrage of orbs of their respective elements at the foxes. Jiraiya was shocked to see that the foxes simply absorbed the fire into themselves while dodging the earthen blasts. "Kaden. Karyuden," one of the foxes that had absorbed his fire blasts called, spitting out a fire dragon several times the size of Jiraiya's and flinging his own jutsu back at him. "Suiden. Sujin Heki." Jiraiya formed a wall of water to block the massive blasts of flame and creating a mist as the wall evaporated upon contact with the fire jutsu. The foxes had surrounded Jiraiya again, who this time stomped his foot into the ground, creating a wall of earth around him in a complete 360-degree range. Jiraiya let out a soft sigh before gathering chakra in preparation for what he was about to do. The 10 foxes surrounded the wall before firing off simultaneous powerful Kaiden jutsu, intent on melting the wall around him and leaving him in the center of a pool of lava. As the smoke cleared, 3 glowing sets of eyes were made visible through the smoke. "So you had no choice, did you, Jiraiya?" a slightly rough voice said. "I'm testing someone who is also supposedly a Sennin. I didn't believe he could be until he summoned those foxes." Jiraiya replied as the smoke cleared away completely, revealing Jiraiya with a larger nose with a wart on it and 2 smaller toads sitting on his shoulders. "You called us out for a test?" the other toad questioned indignantly. "Sorry, Ma, Pa, but I need to see just how strong he is," Jiraiya said contritely. Sennin observed the man, who, aside from his more frog-like appearance, had more red markings covering his cheeks and had yellow eyes. "You wish to make this a battle of senjutsu then? You are dismissed," Sennin said, speaking first to Jiraiya then to the foxes, who poofed away upon hearing his command. Sennin shocked many of the people present by shrugging off the left side of his shirt, revealing his medical tape-covered left arm. Sennin put his hands together into the same prayer-like position as Jiraiya had earlier. There was a sudden marked difference in Sennin's chakra as it became much more powerful and his few visible features became more animal-like. "Senpo. Goenman," Jiraiya said as the frog on his left spat out fire. He spat out oil and the frog on his right spat out a huge gust of wind, resulting in a massive wave of boiling oil that was laced with fire. "Doden. Doryu Heki," Sennin said, spiting out a line of mud that shot upwards to form a massive wall that split the flow of boiling oil. Sennin leapt on top of the stone wall he had formed and started doing 2 sets of one-handed seals. "Fuuten. Atsugai. Kaiden. Zukaku." Sennin thrust his hands at Jiraiya, one hand shooting off a powerful ball of compressed air and the other a ball of compressed, white-hot flames. The attacks collided just before hitting Jiraiya, creating an explosion that shook the training field. Jiraiya leapt from the tree line, engaging Sennin in a taijutsu battle. "Enough," Tsunade yelled, ending the fight. "It is clear Sennin is as powerful as Jiraiya, if not more powerful. The tests are concluded. Report to my office and we will discuss your roles in the war." Sennin and Arashi looked toward each other and nodded, knowing deep down, they hadn't been in a serious fight since their training finished due to their being significantly more powerful than most of their opponents. "Lady Hokage, is it fine for me and my comrade, Sennin, to catch a bite to eat first? I believe negations go better on a full stomach." Itachi smiled pallidly when he asked. "Very well. We will break for lunch and meet at my office at 1 p.m. where I will officially make you a team and formally introduce you to your teammate, since I don't think an introduction would be appropriate at the moment," Tsunade replied. "Come on, Arashi. I know the perfect place to go," Sennin, his shirt once again covering his wrapped arm, said enthusiastically. "You just want to indulge your nigh unholy ramen lust," Arashi said. "So, welcome to Ichiraku Ramen. What would you like?" Ayame said, not even looking away from her cooking. "See, I told you she has freaky ninja skills. I'll have 5 bowls of miso, 2 bowls of pork, 7 bowls of shrimp, and 3 bowls of beef," Sennin said, sitting himself in a stool. 2 bowls of beef, Arashi said, opting not to comment on the waitress's assumed ninja skills. Ayame, somewhat shocked that anyone other than the officially deceased Naruto or an Akamichi would order so much, glanced at the 2 men entering the shop. "Oh okay." Ayame managed to stutter at the 2 men. "How odd. One of them seems to act like a child and the other is a mystery. And the childish one ordered as much ramen as Naruto would, but it couldn't be Naruto, he's dead." Such a big order took time to cook, so Ayame brought out 4 bowls of beef for now, 2 for each of the customers as she began to work furiously at the huge amount for the childish man. "So Sennin, have any ideas who our teammate is going to be? I half suspect that it's a spy to make sure we won't betray them," Arashi said, eating his ramen slowly. Could be," Sennin answered, who gulped down the second bowl of ramen, and waited for more to be brought out. And just as Sennin had called her to be the one with ninja skills, she appeared with 4 bowls again, 1 bowl of each flavor that he ordered. Orochimaru stood at the entrance of his hideout, ready to soon once again invade and this time destroy the Leaf Village. Kabuto, send out messages to our allies. We begin the plan within the month. Again, most likely, it will be a healer, but also someone who can keep an eye on us. I would suggest a Hyuga, but I don't think there are any medics from their clan. From what I heard, Tsunade took on an apprentice, so she may be assigned to us because she is trusted. Senin said between bowls. You have a point. Though, personally, I would rather her than one of the higher-level shinobi be there with us, like the copycat ninja, or Might Guy. They are the ones we should worry about if, at the end of this war, they decide to turn on us. You remember that time in Kumo that they tried that? Arashi said, slurping his ramen slowly, starting to devour his second bowl slowly. Excuse me, miss? May I have some tea, please? Why, yes. Ayame stuttered out, blushing at the fact that she had been staring at him, somewhat entranced by his voice. Thank you, Itachi said as Ayame set the cup down in front of him while he waited for Naruto to finish. Naruto smiled as he noticed the stammer in Ayame's voice. Yay, Arashi, I remember. Senin finished yet another bowl, and got up, finishing the last of his ramen. Well, hurry up and finish your tea, I'm going to go on ahead and see who our team member is. Throwing Arashi a quick glance to inform him that Ayame was staring at him again. That's all for now. If you enjoyed, then please like, share and do comments.